Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
So, do you know? Everybody keeps. Hello, Jake Shields.
How's it
Good to see
going,
you,
Joe?
brother.
Great to be on your show. I've known
to
you
have
for
you.
like what, 15 years?
Long fucking time, brother.
And then
Maybe more. It might be like 20.
right, 20.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your podcast. When it first started, you were like a small little fringe show for like potheads, fight people, comedians.
Well, I waited until it got real big to bring you on.
Yeah. So now, no pressure now.
So we were talking about this. What is it called? This COVID documentary that I think is made by the Russians.
It's
Watch
definitely
the
true,
water.
by the way.
Watch the water. Definitely true. So what are they trying to say? There's snake venom.
All right. Well, I don't know.
I've just heard this one, by the way. Joe just broke this one to me.
Yeah, someone was saying that it was the mark of the beast.
Let me read you the byline,
Okay.
and you tell me
Hit
what
me
you
with it.
think we're gonna
Okay.
get, what you're gonna watch.
Okay.
The pandemic continues, but its origins are still a nefarious mystery.
Oh.
How did the world get sick? How did COVID really spread? How did the satanic elite tell the world about this bioweapon ahead of time? Watch. This doctor has unveiled a shocking connection between this pandemic and the eternal battle of good and evil, which began in the Garden of Eden.
Oh, Jesus. So that's what it is. They were saying that the snake venom.
So there's their picture
in
that's
it.
like a snake.
Oh boy! So it's
The
the
sign
mark.
of the-
They're saying it's the mark of the beast.
Yeah, because the snake is like, represents Satan. So literally Satan blood.
The crazy thing is they banned this from YouTube. Like,
Really?
Yeah. At
Yeah.
what point in time? Come on. What about fun?
Yeah, we should be able to watch things about
Yeah.
snake blood and the devil's beast. I want to watch it now.
I mean, even if it's ridiculous, come on. What about fun? Because I think when you pull things like this down from YouTube, it just makes the really nutty people think that there's a even grander conspiracy.
Yeah, no, trying to fight it makes it seem like there might really be something there. Like it doesn't need to be taken down. Especially this is just so ridiculous. It's like, come on.
But the thing is, when you start saying Satan, people start getting real curious. Like, maybe, man, maybe.
Yeah.
It might be Satan. Satan, what is it? Kaiser Soze's phrase? The biggest trick the devil played?
I was trying to, if just outside of this, if you tried to make, like one of those infomercials from the '90s, and say you had some fake product that could cure this, and you made a 45-minute version of that and put it on YouTube, would they allow that?
As long as it's not about COVID. The thing is, like, they've cracked down so hard on anything that is against the COVID narrative. That's what's
Yeah, it's
going
kind
on.
of crazy how they'll ban even stuff that's true. I mean, stuff like this is obviously probably not true, but things that we now know for a fact are true. Guys like Alex Bernstein, you've had him on a show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alex
he got
Berenson.
banned for putting
Yeah.
stuff that was true just ahead of the curb.
100% true. Ahead of the curve. If you put it out now, there wouldn't even be a debate about it.
Yeah.
Like all the things that he said about like masks not working, about how people that are vaccinated can still spread it. The problem is that 75% of all television advertising, 75% of it is from pharmaceutical companies.
Yep. And you know who owns Twitter? Pharmaceutical companies and Vanguard and BlackRock and
Well, also like the Saudi family, right? Isn't that like one of the royal families? Because they were tweeting with Elon when Elon's trying to buy it.
You see Elon's response? It was like, oh, hey, so what's Saudi's something like opinion on
Free speech.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was a jab at the journalist they chopped up alive in Turkey.
Yeah, Jamal Khashoggi.
Yeah, I mean that's how I thought of it at least. But
Did you ever see that documentary, The Dissident?
No, I didn't.
Dude, it's dark. It's Brian Fogel, and he's a brilliant documentary guy who also made he made Icarus. Did you see that? That's the one on the Russians cheating
I heard
at the
of
Olympics.
it. I know I need to watch it, but I have not seen that. I hear
amazing.
that's really good. Yeah,
It's amazing. It's amazing because it shows how the Russian doping program, how deep it goes.
Damn.
Like it goes.
There's a lot of strong Russians I've trained with. Not saying they're doping, just to be clear about that. But these guys are strong.
Jake, you started MMA and competition jiu-jitsu in the days where rampant steroid use.
Yeah, everywhere.
I mean, it was everywhere. Like in the early days of fighting, like when you were first, like what year was your first MMA fight?
I think 99.
99.
Yeah. Surprisingly, we were always in the teams that were always like not like huge anti, but we were just never doing it.
Right.
With Nick, Nate, Gil, all those guys.
Right. Those are some of the few guys that didn't.
Mm-hmm. Like in the sport, it's true. Most people are doing it. It made it hard not to because everyone's doing it, cycling off, and it made it so hard. There's definitely less now, but to me, I think there's still some out there. You see some of these guys just looking so jacked, such good shape. I have no idea what they're doing to beat the tests, but it seems like some guys are.
Well, I mean, obviously there's some genetic freaks, but I think there's also some things that you can get away with. Mm-hmm. I think micro-dosing testosterone you could probably get away with.
Yeah.
There's probably a bunch of different peptides that are still legal that are effective.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Genetics, but then you'll see a team that has like 10 guys that are all jacked. It's like,
Yeah.
Not going to say any teams.
Well,
but...
what's crazy is when USADA came along, how many people melted.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly, because they melted, but you look at them now, and now they're blown back up.
Yeah, they figured it out. They've worked out the cycles.
That's kind of what I think, but I have no inside information, so I'm just speculating.
Well, the amount of money that's in MMA now is so substantial, and a lot of these teams are backed by like really wealthy people, and they bring in fucking chemists.
Yep, that can stay ahead of the curve. That's what I assume is going on. But again, I'm just no idea, and I would never accuse anyone of juicing without knowing. That's a messed up thing to do.
Have you fucked around with anything? Have you tried anything?
Not really.
No, not really is a weird word.
Well, like diuretics. I'm getting older now, so I think it might be about time to not competing.
Are you done competing totally?
Well, I'd still compete jiu-jitsu, but most likely fighting. I mean, hey, if someone offers me a shitload of money for another name guy, I'll do it. But I'm not going to fight like some 25-0 Russian that no one's ever heard of that they're trying to build up off of me.
Right. When was the last time you fought? How many years ago?
Like 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
It's, retirement was
that PFL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lost my last fight. So
how was that competing over there?
I mean, it's good. They pay good, but they just don't have the same kind of promo and attention. It's just, some of these shows pay better than the UFC for most people, but they don't build the hype. So it sucks with fighters sometimes they're looking at, do I take a pay cut and go in the UFC and get less famous? I mean, I had to take a pay cut after I left Strikeforce, but I wanted to fight GSP. So it's like I wouldn't have been happy with myself if I haven't got it. So it sucks to be in a situation to have to take a pay cut, but it's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. There's a lot of these companies that have to pay a lot of money to get good talent. But it's like Bellator's the only one that's getting real attention.
But they're not still getting anywhere near the attention of the UFC. Not even close.
No.
Like I have this guy I'm going to corner next week, Patchy Mix. Absolute savage, Like, I think he's like 15-0 in amateur all submissions, like 15-1 as a pro, like 13-14 submissions, and like no one really knows who he is. And he's fighting. He's been in the $1 million tournament, so he's getting paid well, but it just sucks that he's not getting for how good he is, he's not getting the recognition he deserves.
So how does that work? He gets $1 million if he wins the tournament?
Yeah, I think he gets paid on top of it too, his salary, I believe.
Oh,
so
really?
I think it's $1 million plus, whatever he is for his fights.
Did you see Corey Anderson versus Nemkov this past weekend?
I missed that.
Oh my God. It was such a bummer because first of all, Nemkov is a beast, but Corey Anderson was working him. Corey Anderson was way ahead in the fight. He was dominating him on the ground. He was taking him down. He was doing fantastic in the stand-up. And then during the ground and pound, he slipped, like trying to throw an elbow, I believe, or maybe a punch, and they collided heads. Nemkov got a giant gash, and they stopped the fight and made it a no contest. So this is the $1 million fight.
Oh, Jesus.
That
was the final one?
Yeah, that's it, because Nemkov's the champion.
So are they going to fight again, or what are they going to do?
Yes, they have to fight again, but now Nemkov has
2 fights for $1 million.
Here, watch this again. So just go a little bit before this so you can see, like...
Showing it.
Yeah.
I was trying to find that slow-mo, or here you go.
Yeah, so he was going to throw an elbow, and he got blocked and deflected and clashed heads. And props to Corey, he immediately said, I hit him with my head.
Damn.
See, look, it was just like his arm slipped off, and they collided heads.
I wouldn't have said anything if I was Corey.
Well, Corey's a good man. Not that you're not, but he just.
But I still wouldn't say anything.
He just wanted to be. So Nemkov's a bad motherfucker, though. He's a beast. I mean, he knocked out Ryan Bader, and Corey it just was one of those things, man. I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, man. Bellator has some great fighters, but
they're doing well.
They're doing well, but they haven't got the same kind of hype that Strikeforce had when I was with them, I don't think. Strikeforce was the show, other than Pride, that managed to get some real hype.
And Elite XC, remember, for a little bit?
They kind of turned into that. That's why I didn't mention Elite XC, because Strikeforce bought Elite XC and got their TV deals.
Wasn't Elite XC on CBS?
Yep, they had CBS, and then Strikeforce got that deal. So
Yeah.
I was fighting on all those shows. That was when I was able to get some hype outside the UFC. That was a good time period.
That was the sometimes these things happen in MMA when the brawl broke out between Mayhem and you guys.
Yeah, it was after I beat Henderson.
Yeah.
We went out there, and then Mayhem jumped over the cage, started talking crap, and we just beat the hell out of him. In his defense, he never complained about it, took his beating like a man. He's crazy, but...
That was just when Gus Johnson said, sometimes these things happen in MMA. Everybody's like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah, that brawl was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
But-
Those are the wild days of MMA.
Yeah.
You know? It's so funny, like, when you say you competed in 99, because that's like, God, man, you were on the early days. That's 6 years after the birth of the UFC.
Damn, was it that soon? Yeah, you're right, 93. Holy
Yeah.
crap. The sports, I've watched it just change so much. You know, I've had fights bare knuckles. My first fight, I was actually in the crowd watching the fight, just there to watch. And then someone didn't show up. Like, does anyone want to fight? And my dumb ass is like, yeah, me. And they're sitting there. I'm going up there. I think they're taping my wrist. And I'm sitting there back there being like, wait, what did I just do? Is this a good idea?
How old
I'm
are
a
you?
moron. Probably 20, so I was a moron.
How long had you been training?
I think like 3-4 weeks.
Oh,
but I was
that's
a wrestler.
hilarious.
I thought I could beat everyone up because I did win the fight,
Wow.
but I thought I was like unbeatable.
Did you have any striking training at all?
Oh no! I think I got the crap beat out of me by Chuck Liddell one time.
One time?
I wanted to like spar him because we know how Chuck looks, right? But imagine
Right.
if you'd never seen Chuck, you'd be like, "This guy is ridiculous. I'm gonna mess this guy up." So
Really? Chuck?
I didn't really think I was messing him up. I thought I would do well. And I got in there with him, and he just creamed me.
And this is when you were 20?
Yeah, but he didn't try to knock me out with headshots, but he did with liver shots.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was not.
Dude,
not
Chuck
fun.
in the early days, before Chuck was a champion, when people were ducking him, it was hard for him to get fights. Like when he fought Babalu, like Chuck was a fucking monster.
Damn, yeah, I was training with him that time period. He's the guy that introduced me to fighting, and man, what a savage.
He
What
was
a-
kill or be killed. Like these young kids that don't know, put some respect on that guy's name.
Yeah, dude, that guy's a legend. I mean, I look up to Chuck because he's the guy that got me into the sport, so I always look up to him as like a mentor and a big brother, you know?
Yeah, dude, during the early days of MMA, I mean, he was the kill or be killed guy.
He's the guy that motivated me to take it for a career because he started making a little money, and I'm like, a little money, probably like $30K a fight. But I was so broke, I was like, oh man, maybe I can make some money with this sport, and just went after it.
Yeah, that was such a crazy time, right? Because like Chuck fought Pele in Vale Tudo in Brazil when they had nets
Yep.
under the bottom rope. Remember, so you couldn't slip
He got
out.
caught under the net. Was
Yeah.
it Pele, right? And Chuck was
Yeah.
like, beating the crap out
Bare
of him.
knuckle.
His head wasn't. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
there it is.
savage.
That's the fight.
30-minute fight, I think.
Yeah, but look how they have the nets under the bottom rope. That was just so insane. So you couldn't scoot out.
Which kind of like that actually, because in Japan I'd be fighting guys and they would let the Japanese scoot out, but they wouldn't let us the Americans scoot out.
Oh, really? Really? They would stop
Like
you?
in Shudo, they try to grab us, but then sometimes they let the other guys take them down. They'd slide right out of the ring and they'd restart you on the feet.
There should look at this. Wow. That's Chuck Liddell in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah, that was like, what year was that? Because I was early when I knew Chuck, and I remember I was just so pumped when he won that.
If I had it, let me guess.
I'm going to say 2001.
I bet it's earlier. I bet it's like 99.
Could be, because it was early when I knew Chuck.
Does it say? Groin shots were legal. Headbutts were legal. Kicks to the head of on the ground were legal. As anything goes.
Yeah, it was
Groin
like,
shots. The fact that groin shots were legal is just fucking bonkers.
yeah, even UFC 1, those weren't, were they?
Yes, they were. Do you remember
Jesus.
Keith Hackney and Joe Son? Joe Son, Keith Hackney was on the ground, and Joe Son was hanging on to him, and Keith Hackney was punching him in the nuts
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
That's right. And then remember Hoist Gracie grabbed Chemo's hair
Yeah.
when he was trying to pull him down by his hair.
Yep.
So,
The worst was Big Daddy Goodrich versus the Pedro. Do you remember the Pedro?
Pedro Hizzo?
No, it was
No,
the
I
Pedro.
don't.
It was a guy who fought Vale Tudo in Brazil. And Big Daddy Goodrich reached into his shorts and grabbed his balls and crushed his balls with his hand.
That is a savage man.
reached into his fucking shorts in the middle of a fight and grabbed his hog and crushed his nuts.
You say this is Big Daddy Goodrich?
I'm 99% positive.
I'm gonna remind myself never to get in a fight with Goodrich.
Well, he's most certainly done, but I'm 99% certain
Jesus.
that's who did it.
I don't know how I missed that one. That is
Who would it have been against?
The Pedro.
Against that page.
There was a guy named The Pedro.
So, yeah. What year did you start watching fighting? Like really early?
I found out about it in '94. It was after the first UFC. I just moved to LA, and I watched the second UFC. I got it from a video store, like a Hollywood Video or some shit. And I was like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And then I found out, that this was like a thing that they were doing on a regular basis. And I couldn't. So I saw it after it had already aired. Like maybe I'd heard about it.
Yeah, same with me. I think around 95 or something. My dad rented some and bring it home like, oh my God, this is crazy. Never thought I would do it, obviously. I mean, these guys are nuts. But then when I started fighting, my dad's like, you can't do this. I'm like, Dad, you're the one that they brought these videos home and introduced it to me. So,
did you have any idea of doing something else? Was there something else you wanted to do when you were young?
I had no clue what I wanted to do. I was just a young kid getting in trouble. I thought maybe be a pro snowboarder. So my friends were trying to do that, but I didn't really have any ambition. I was going to school, but no idea what I wanted to study. So I caught fighting and just completely fell in love and got addicted and just couldn't help going for it and trying it.
It's interesting because people have this idea of like what kind of personality gets involved in fighting. But your personality is like kind of the opposite. You're like very friendly, real quiet. You're mostly vegetarian.
Yeah, fully vegetarian.
Are you fully vegetarian?
Not vegan though, but yeah, vegetarian. So.
Do you eat eggs?
I do eat eggs.
Yeah.
The vegans, the no eggs. So.
Right. Do you? But you do that mostly for like ethical reasons.
Mostly
right?
for ethical reasons. Yeah. I grew up vegetarian, so it makes it a lot easier for me. So I never had to like cut it out. I don't miss it. So it's just kind of. The few times I've eaten it, I felt like nasty and felt weird, and actually physically sick too. So
Meat?
I'm like, yeah.
First time, really?
And yeah,
Wow.
It makes my stomach bloat. If I was to eat it, I would do like you, go hunting or something. Because the idea of like these factory farms are just, I don't know. If you watch any of those videos, just disgusting.
That's why I became a hunter, because I watched those. I had two choices in my mind. I said I was either going to become a vegetarian or I was going to start hunting.
Yeah.
And so I started hunting.
Yeah, and a lot of my good friends have gotten into hunting, but it's kind of they invited me, but I'm like, I don't want to kill an animal still. Maybe I'll go out with them just for the backpacking experience, though.
Yeah, well, it's great backpacking experience for sure. But the thing about hunting is that like they have to kill those animals. Like there's so many of them. They have to be hunted, especially like deer. Like when you're around here, around Texas, they're fucking everywhere, man. I mean, when I drive home at night, when I'm getting close to my house, I have to drive slow because these fuckers are jumping out in front of the car all over the place.
Yeah, no, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's still, like, if I don't eat it, to kill something would just feel wrong to me.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I would kill something and not eat it is that, if you have, like, a dangerous situation.
Oh, yeah, that's different. If an animal's coming after me, then
you have predators on your property. They're trying to kill your animals or stalk your dog or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's totally different situation.
But most animals you can eat. You know, you can eat anything.
I ate a snake once because we killed that, so I figured I might as well eat it.
What was that like?
I don't know. Let me taste like chicken, I guess.
But you don't eat chicken, so how would you even know
That's what everyone
that?
says.
When was the last time you actually had meat?
Probably like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Because this blows my stomach out. I don't
That's
feel
interesting
good.
that it blows. I guess it's probably your body's like so accustomed to just eating vegetables.
Yeah, I read there's like I think we build enzymes for the meat, and I think I probably could build it within a couple of days, but it just I don't have it for never adjusting it, so it would take me a little bit to readjust eating meat.
Like, what is a standard meal for you? Like, what do you eat?
Everything: burritos, salads, lots of fruit,
Bean and cheese burritos,
bean and cheese burritos, and vegetables, rice, Thai food, Indian food. I eat all kinds of stuff.
What do you get like as your for your primary protein source? What do you use?
A lot of beans.
Beans.
And I don't really consume that much protein. I probably should consume more protein, but I feel like everyone always says I'm strong that trains with me. So
no, you're very strong. So it's like, I think there's different bodies, man. There's like some people are allergic to foods, other people eat them easily. Everybody's there's some sort of a biodiversity amongst human beings. There's there's different people, man. Some people can eat all plants, and some people get sick when they eat all plants.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious, too, if I ate meat, how my body would feel. I thought about it at one point in my fighting career to give it a try for a while. My strength trainer was trying to get me to, but then I ate it a couple times, and I just felt so weird. And just the fact never eating it, when I would eat it flesh, it would just be hard for me to put down.
Really? Just like psychologically?
Mentally and physically, so it's both. So psychologically it's hard eating it, and then physically I would get sick afterwards, too. So it's like, I can't do this.
If you were going to do it physically, I would tell you to eat a very small portion. I would say have a 4-ounce piece of some sort of free-range buffalo or something like that.
That's kind of what I believe from looking at diet. I think the best diet is maybe that with meat once or twice a week, small amounts. Because that's what I always ask friends, being like, oh, I want to switch to vegan or vegetarian. I'm like, hey, do it slow,
Yeah.
Just cut your meat way back. Eat it twice a week.
Yeah, well, that's the case with look, your body gets addicted to alcohol, which is crazy because it's terrible for you. But if you just keep drinking alcohol all the time and then cut off all the alcohol, you'll die.
Yeah, it's crazy. People that try to quit and they just can't get out of bed. They're sick.
Yeah.
Throwing up from not drinking. It's so weird.
Well, that's how weird the body is. The body gets so accustomed to consuming certain things. Like if you have a person who eats only one kind of food and then they radically change it, your body's probably like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it goes, and that's kind of how I watch my diet. How stuff makes me feel. If I eat something and I don't feel good, I don't want to eat it. Like if I eat Krispy Kreme, I feel sick. I'm like, you know what? I don't think those are good for me.
Yeah, I feel sick, but while I'm eating it, I feel amazing.
Oh yeah.
While I'm chomping down, you get the chocolate cream filled ones. Those are my favorite.
Just melt in your mouth.
But as soon as I'm done, I'm so angry at myself, and then I feel like shit for hours.
Yeah.
It's like the amount of time you feel like shit versus the amount of time you feel good.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
You get about 30 seconds of good.
But speaking of donuts, you have to go to this place in Round Rock. Unfortunately, I can't think the name. Just put in donuts in Round Rock. It'll pop up. Probably the best donuts I've ever had.
Really?
It's worth driving up there.
I'm not going.
Or send Jamie. Make Jamie do it. Make him earn his pay.
Jamie has to research this snake venom stuff to make sure that Satan is not trying to play a trick on us.
I think Satan is.
You think so?
Yeah, so back to that. Who do you think comes up with that? You think someone being serious? Think someone trolling?
I think there's a lot of variables. It could be Russians that are coming up with some nonsense to try to make people fight online. There's definitely a lot of these things that are trolls. There's a lot of these things that are created in whether it's Reddit or all these other places,
Like the OK hand signal. Oh, wait, I might get banned for doing that.
No, the OK one that's a weird one, right? Because it used to be, there's some sort of game that some dorks play.
Oh yeah, it's the smack game.
Where you smack a guy in the nuts if your fingers point in a certain way.
I've had a few friends hit me before. I just smack him back.
I don't understand that game. I didn't know about that game until Tim Pool told me about it. Did you know? What?
Yeah.
What is it? How's it work?
Made you look.
If you look below the leg, if you hold it here and you look, then I get to punch you.
Just
I'm try to get you later.
What?
Made you look.
But in the nuts?
No.
Yeah, well, it depends. Really, it's just a
Some
punch in
guys-
the arm, but
Oh.
it depends on what kind of friend you got.
But it's also a white power thing.
No,
That
that's
became a whole
not
thing.
real.
That's where it became the 4chan troll stuff.
4chan made that up to see how ridiculous they could push things. They go, let's see if we can get people to believe the OK thing is a white pride thing, and then it bought on.
But then it caught on.
But then the white power people did start using
Right.
it.
But
Because
do
I remember
they?
there was this photo of these militia guys, and they had that thing. They were holding their fingers that way,
People
and they were saying
do
that's
do
a
it.
yeah.
I think it's pretty rare. I saw one. There was a Mexican guy. He was driving through a Black Lives Matter protest, and he had his hand sitting out his window, just chilling there.
Oh.
And then it got spotted, and it went viral, and he got fired, lost his job. Now he's broke.
He's Mexican?
And he's Mexican. He's like, how could I be white pride?
Oh my
He was just
God.
an older dude. Probably
Maybe he
doesn't.
had a booger on
Sure
his,
he
and was
doesn't have
ready to
Twitter.
Flick it. That is crazy. They fired him for holding his finger like
Yep.
that?
And it was just sitting outside his car. He was just chilling, driving by, and someone photographed it, and it went viral.
That is so ridiculous. As if he's signaling to people.
He's an older in his 40s, family, nice
my
guy.
God,
Probably
that's-
doesn't go online.
They fired him for that?
Yeah. I can't remember what company it was, but
damn.
But yeah, he got fired. And I saw an interview recently, and I think he was lost all his money. He was all bummed out. And he's like, clearly I'm not a white supremacist. I'm Mexican.
Oh my God. That's so fucking stupid. I remember there was a video of this lady who was eating outside of a restaurant. I think it was in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. It might have been in Brooklyn. I forget where it was. But she was eating outside, and all these Black Lives Matter people came by, and they were telling her that she had to like raise her fist in
yeah.
solidarity, and she's like, I'm not doing that. I've marched with you guys. I'm not doing that. I'm here eating. And like they're screaming and yelling at her, and then they told like some of the organizers were like, white people get in front and yell at her, and white people yell at her. I'm like,
that was
you forget the frenzy.
Yeah, that was so mad. It's what's funny is I just saw that yesterday. Someone on your
James
show,
Lindsay.
James Lindsay, posted that, and I saw that. I'm like, what the?
We forget
how crazy it was.
What a frenzy. Like that whole post George Floyd time was, because it was two things going on. It was one, people realizing like there's so much police violence, it has to end. And then there was also these white people that were clamoring to make sure that people don't think they're racist.
Yeah, I mean, everything was just so polarized, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
If you didn't jump online and agree with them, you were racist. If you didn't post a black square,
Yeah,
I think
square.
I think I had people mad at me. I didn't post a black square. Calling, Jake didn't post the black square.
Yeah, I saw some people having a conversation about that. Like, and they were like, "Hey, he didn't even post a black square." I'm like, "Hey, fuck you! You can't tell someone they have to post a goddamn black square."
Did you not post one
No,
either, Joe?
I did not post a black
racist.
square. It's so dumb. Like that black square is not going to fix anything. Like, and you making someone post a black square is just you exercising power over people, getting people to submit. That's all it is. You're not fixing shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I know a lot of people that posted it that didn't want to. I talked to them like, I felt pressure to post it. I mean, it's their fault for not being stronger, but I hold that from a bunch of people, particularly girls. A lot of times they feel the pressure. Like, I don't want to post this, but my friends are like texting me and stuff like that.
Well, I know guys that felt that pressure too.
Yeah.
But it's just like those are scary moments because people are accustomed to telling people what to do and getting people to comply, and it becomes this like weird bully thing.
Yeah, we're really going through a weird time of that the last couple of years. It was never like that when I grew up, but it's gotten pretty crazy like the last 5 years. Of people just, especially San Francisco where I was living. It's just nuts.
Well, you were diving into the waters of Twitter. I was like, look at Jake go. Because it seemed like
I never used it till recently,
Yeah, it seemed like you had gotten to a point where you're like, fucking enough. Is that accurate?
That's exactly what happened. I think it was the COVID lockdowns were just so extreme in San Francisco, and then the Black Lives Matter riots came when they were letting people just loot and rob people. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start fucking speaking my mind.
Yeah.
Probably lost about 20,000 followers in the first week tweeting.
Did you really?
Maybe like 10. But
wow.
It took me a while, but now I'm back above where I was. Different audience. But now when I tweet about fighting, it gets like hardly any traction. I'll tweet about politics and it goes crazy. So I guess I have a different audience. It's kind of hilarious.
That's so funny.
But if I if I start my audience I picked up, if I start talking crap on Trump or something, it'll get like no likes, no retweets.
Yeah, it's the San Francisco way of handling things might be the worst in the country. Well, it's like the whole Pacific Northwest. It's San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. They handled that shit worse than anybody.
It was just unreal. Most of half my friends, middle class people spent years working their ass off, probably more than half of minorities, to build businesses up and just got their businesses crushed. Most of them went under, restaurants, clubs, gyms. It's just, they don't realize the damage is done to people, especially the middle class.
They didn't fucking care because their checks kept coming. All those politicians, and I have a friend and his brother works on the COVID board in California, and they were talking about banning outdoor dining. And he said, why would we ban outdoor dining? There's no cases that can be attributed to outdoor dining. This is not a factor. And the woman he was talking to said, it's all about the optics. Yeah, imagine you're going to close a fucking restaurant that's been struggling for a year. They finally get a little bit of money coming in. They're finally rehiring wait staff, rehiring bar staff. Everybody's kind of getting back in work again. Now, we're going to shut down outdoor dining.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't realize the devastation it did to people. Maybe they have a tech job or they don't live in those towns. It's a completely different job where they can stay home and get paid. But they don't realize you're completely killing people's businesses that have spent years, sometimes their lifetime to build, and just kill it over that.
Yeah, I think it's just the politicians. I think they don't care because I think they get paid no matter what, and they feel oddly disconnected from the people, Well,
I think about $4 trillion went up to the top 1% during this, and about the same amount got lost from the middle class.
You mean $4 trillion?
Extra money got moved from the middle bottom to the top.
Yeah, I don't think about that too much, but that redistribution of wealth thing. Dude, if you keep breathing in the microphone like that, I guarantee you people are going to complain.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Thanks for letting me know. I don't want to Messed it up.
Because your nose is fucked, right? We were talking about
Yeah,
that
I got
before
the
the
deviated
podcast.
septum, so I'm
Yeah.
stuck. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get this thing fixed.
I got mine fixed. It was the best fucking thing I've ever done. Because mine was broken my whole life. I fell down a flight of stairs when I was like 5 years old and fucked my nose up. But I could never breathe out of it. It was always useless because I probably broke it like a dozen times over my life.
Yeah.
You know, most fighters like Justin Gaethje, you hear him talk. He talks like this. Like it sounds like there's no nose. Like his nose is completely stuffed up.
What was the recovery time on that?
Fucking nothing.
Oh, fuck,
I was
I gotta go
rolling
get
in
that.
6 weeks.
Yeah, I got to get that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I'm just so used to it, I don't realize, but not being able to breathe out of my nose is not
Oh,
fun.
it changes everything. It's like, look at this.
Fresh air.
I would go to yoga class and they would say, breathe out of your nose. I'm like, I can't. I'll die.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I'll die. They
That's
were
like my friend gave me that thing for breathing out your nose. I'm like, I can't use this. I can't
Yeah.
breathe out of my nose.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably do it yourself. You could probably stick some sticks in there and pry it open
Really?
if you want to be gangster.
Well, I'm going to do a home surgery now.
I remember I saw Josh Barnett fix someone's broken nose in a video. There's a video of Josh Barnett. The guy gets his nose broken in training, and Josh Barnett, I think he stuck a pencil in there and popped his nose back into place.
Really? I'm
Yeah.
going to hit up Josh Burnett. I have to get a number from you after we leave.
I think it's like right when it breaks, though. I don't think you could do it like with yours.
Okay, I guess I'll go to a doctor.
What is this? Is it? Yeah. See, this dude just got his nose broken, and so Josh. Oh, it says Strikeforce heavyweight. So this is fairly old. So Josh is manipulating this dude's nose.
It all
look at him.
came out and it started pumping in the media that there's no
What does it say?
I wanted to hear the thing. I think he's just narrating over top of it.
Well, what is he saying though?
that said smokers are being hospitalized at rates higher than any other demographic.
This is not
Well,
the same.
The truth is,
That's not the same audio.
I might have
Looks
to.
like he's
you
fixing
got
it,
another
though.
fucking
I think I got
thing
that
running.
Rumble video going on
Oh,
in the background.
that's exactly what it is. You got that fucking snake venom video.
Well, I don't
play
know
this
where it
though.
is.
You got the wrong one.
Well, hold on then. I gotta find it. I gotta find it.
You got 3 different browsers going on. The Rumble
Hold
video.
on. It is on this.
That is definitely it.
But yeah, that's pretty savage.
I mean, if it makes sense though. I mean, if you just broke it, you could kind of pop it back in place.
Oh, yeah, I hate going to the doctor. I would do that.
Yeah. Here it goes.
Now, here's the thing. Try not to with it.
What do you mean?
Well, because it's going to itch, it's going to swell, it's going to a lot of things. And
You might have just done
you're
it.
going to want to mess with it, and it's
Yeah.
going to knock it out. See, it's straight right now. Try not to
Yeah. So he, in the beginning, he used a pencil or a pen, like a ballpoint pen. But here's what's funny: that shit ain't clean. He didn't sterilize that pen.
Just relax.
Stuff
Best you
that thing.
can.
You ever had staph inside your nose?
Oh, that would be terrible.
Oh my God, you
Staph
totally
is
can.
not good.
Have you had staph?
Yeah, I had it like twice. It was terrible both times.
It's not fun.
Thailand,
Did you do the whole antibiotic course and everything?
Yeah,
Staph?
like in Thailand, like my leg blew up so big, I think I would have like died if I hadn't gone in.
Oh,
It was
really?
like, yeah, in the middle of the night, I had like cold sweats. I didn't know if I was make it through the night, but you don't know how to like. In Thailand, it's not like you just call 911.
Right. How do you get antibiotics in Thailand?
I took a scooter to the hospital, and
Wow.
it was actually great treatment. It was clean, cheap. They put me on an IV. The doctor knew. I'm sure they got a lot of staff there. He knew all about it.
Yeah, I guarantee you they do, right?
I was so impressed with the medical in Thailand. It was like $200.
Really?
In the U.S., it was like 5,000 and
At
way worse
least.
treatment. And it was terrible treatment.
Which where we at?
Phuket,
Oh, is it Tiger Muay Thai?
Tiger Muay Thai. Yeah,
That's a great camp.
yeah. And I've also been by Mike Swick. I'm sure you know Mike.
Oh,
Swick,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
He has
yeah.
a gym right next to it.
He lives
so
there now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened with him? Why did he decide to move to Thailand?
I think he just went there and loved it, and I mean,
Wow.
decided to stay there. It's a pretty nice spot. I mean, have you been out there?
I have been to Thailand, but I haven't been to Phuket. I've been to Chiang Mai. I went with my family on a vacation. It was dope.
Yeah.
I love the people there. They're so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's so friendly, and it's a really beautiful culture. And the foods, I love spicy food.
Food's so good. I love Thai food.
Thai food. So
Yeah, and Thai people are just so friendly.
I know, right? It's like, isn't it amazing that a culture that developed arguably the best stand-up striking style also is so friendly?
Oh yeah, and the Thai guys that you're sparring with are like so nice. They're
Yeah.
just chill. They love it when you're training with them. Americans, it's just like the nicest dudes.
They're so nice, and they're also really good at not beating people up. Like one of the things about sparring, like you have to be really careful. Say if you're an amateur and you spar with a professional and you go to certain gyms, they'll hurt you.
Oh yeah, that's especially in boxing.
Yeah.
They try to knock you
Oh,
out.
yeah,
But the Thai
100%.
guys will play with you unless you go hard on them. Then
Yeah.
they'll try to kick your ass, which obviously makes sense.
Yeah, if you go hard on them. But I
the-
remember my first times in a boxing gym, they just tried to kill me.
Oh yeah, unless you're really good, you go in a boxing gym.
Yeah.
They're gonna go out there and literally try to knock you out. That's what they just use people for.
But it's crazy how many wars are in boxing gyms. I mean, there's so many videos of guys just flat out throwing 100%, knocking people out, and they'll put that video up on your Instagram. And you're like, hey, man, you shouldn't put that up. Like, you look like a fucking asshole here. Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be sparring like this.
Yeah, and posting knocking someone else kind of messed up too, a little disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, it's the culture of those gyms. It's like there's so much bravado, machismo. Whereas Thais, they like touch each other. Like they spar so light. It's really interesting because it's not like it fucks with their timing. It's like they fight so often that for them to spar and spar hard is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's why they spar so light, because they fight so often, so they spar super light, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you don't fight all the time, you probably want to spar hard occasionally, but because they fight like every 2 weeks or something, they can go out there and just kind of touch each other when they spar. Even with no shin pads, sometimes they'll spar and just be kicking you, but not hard.
Yeah. No, it's kind of amazing, really. It's amazing that they figured out that style. Because that's the best way to get technical. The best way to get technical is to not have like real consequences to your mistakes.
Yeah.
So you don't like flinch and you're not worried about like the counters,
Yeah, no, the guys I train, I try to have them like, spar hard once a week and like medium, and then have one time where it's just kind of play sparring where they're touching, moving, so they don't have to worry about getting hit. They can try all their new moves.
When a guy gets hurt in the gym, how much time do you tell him to take off?
It depends on how hurt. Like a minor concussion, at least a week. A bigger one, longer.
Yeah, but even just a week, even for a minor concussion, and then you're going to get hit in the head again, it's probably not good.
Yeah, that's why I said at least a week. I'd say maybe
Yeah.
if it was like super minor, but then maybe go back to like drill sparring after that. I wouldn't go back into heavy sparring.
Right.
But no, hard concussion, a couple months, I would say.
Yeah, at least. And then it's like, how do you know if they're recovered? Do you ask them? It's like...
Yeah, I've seen a few people get really bad concussions that last for like years. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah, man.
It's kind of scary.
Well, there's a lot of people that were never the same again after a brutal fight. I mean, we all know guys that were in wars and were never the same again.
Yeah, it sucks when you see that. I'm lucky going through 20 years fighting. I feel like I mostly made it out. Okay. Not 100%. Might be a little bit retarded, but can I say that word?
Yes, you just did. What do you think? Like, what do you think was like your hardest fight? Like where you took the most damage?
Man, I've been in a lot of hard fights. Henderson dropped me twice in the first round. Just floored me.
It's so fucking hard too.
Yeah, my last fight with Ray Cooper, a lot of damage, but I just mentally didn't really feel in that fight either. At that point, I was like, I don't even know why I was fighting. It was just kind of like
you were on the way out.
Yeah, I lost motivation, and that's after like when I got hit in that one, I didn't have any desire to like get back up. On Henderson, you get dropped, it's like I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna win this fight. You know? But when I realized I lost that desire, it's like, wait, why am I here doing this still?
Yeah, that's a dangerous thing for a fighter, right? When you stop having that kind of enthusiasm that got you into fighting in the first place.
It's such an intense sport. You have to have 100% enthusiasm and motivation to do it. But the problem is a lot of times guys start making money later in their careers, and that's the same time they're losing motivation, but then they're finally making the good paydays. So it's tricky.
Yeah. How did you find the PFL? Did you enjoy being over there?
Yeah, no, I did. It's like, they don't, like I said, they don't have the same hype as UFC, so that sucks, but they treated me good. They pay well. It's
How are they affording to do what they're doing?
Man, good question, because it's a great show for the up-and-comers, because you can go and make $1 million in like, 3-4 fights?
Yeah.
But, for the older guys, they get a lot better contracts, too, the guys that have been around. So they're paying people pretty well. Some of the big names are getting paid pretty well on top of the, million.
Yeah. I mean, they have Kayla Harrison. They have, they have good fighters.
Anthony Pettis signed over there. Yep. Roy McDonald.
Yeah. They have good fighters. But it's just, do they still do that weird thing where they have like points and you get a certain amount of points for finishing and it moves you further ahead?
That's how they score the bracket, because they have like two matches, and the point system is who you fight next. It's a little weird, but
why fuck with that?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I think it's I think it's
why
pointless.
complicate
But
things? Because like I try explaining it to somebody, and they were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I think you get like points if you win in the first round. If it goes to a decision, if it's a split decision, maybe you get less points. I don't know."
I think their reasoning is to take out bias and to be completely fair. But I agree with you. I don't really like it. I think it's just kind of weird.
When you're at that stage where you're not fighting anymore, and that's for someone who's fought since '99. That's a complicated stage in your life where you're sort of like, you have to be all in to be a fighter, and then you realize at a certain point in time that you're not anymore. Like, how do you make that adjustment?
And that is a good question, and that is extremely difficult, which I think is why a lot of athletes go on like past than they want to be fighting. Because it becomes like your identity. It's all I know is I get a fight, and then I like train my ass off for like 10 weeks, fight, take a week off, party, back to the gym, and try to schedule another fight. It's like your identity, and then you're like, oh, I got to step away. And it's the first year was kind of tough, but now I've started getting in the business world. I've been fortunate to have good mentors around me. Like I don't know if you know Tarek Exim. He was my trainer.
Yeah,
he's a great guy. He early on was pushing me into business. I wasn't really listening, unfortunately, till later. But then him and another guy I started working with, Derek Moneyberg. He's like extremely rich dude. He like really has business figured out. So I'm like, all right, learning from people that you got to put energy into something else so you enjoy it.
Right. Like, what kind of business are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. I just launched my clothing company, American Jiu-Jitsu, AmericanFight.com is the website. Been working with high rollers.
Okay, the BJJ marijuana.
Yeah. One of the owners there now.
Oh, you're one of the owners? That's
yeah.
hilarious.
So I think I'm getting him a deal on Fight Pass.
Have you ever done a competition high?
I did once at the high rollers against Diego.
What is it like being barbecued?
Terrifying.
How often do you get high, first off?
Like once every couple months. So for me, it was like, oh, crap, I smoked too much.
Well, you're hanging out with the Diaz brothers, though. Everybody would assume that you get high every day.
Oh, yeah, everyone thinks I'm high all the time. I think Nick smokes the most by far.
Does he?
Yeah, Nate's not like, he smokes, but not like Nick. Nick will just put it down. He'll smoke you under the table.
I'm sure. Dude, a lot of people smoke me under the table. I've had people on this podcast that, like Mike Tyson the other day, he smoked me under the table.
Oh, you just had Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
I have to watch that one.
Snoop Dogg, he smoked me under the table. Wiz Khalifa, Action Bronson, he smoked me under the table. Most people do. Most real solid smokers. I smoke a lot, but I don't smoke a lot for a person who smokes a lot.
Yeah, I'm a lightweight. The best, though, Nick Diaz and Snoop Dogg did an interview, and they're both just sitting there with their own blunts. They didn't want to, like, pass them. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's totally Nick Diaz move.
Well, Snoop Dogg rolled and smoked 2 blunts of his own during the podcast. Yeah,
pretty impressive.
Animal.
I want to build a top.
Just puts him down. Puts it down. But those guys, he's high all the time, though. Did you see the video of him preparing for the Super Bowl? He's in that little Super Bowl set, and he's smoking while he's getting ready to go perform during the Super Bowl halftime. Snoop is smoking.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Animal.
Me, I couldn't do it.
Savage. Yeah. Just super human tolerance for marijuana. I mean, he could just exist high as fuck and be cool as a cucumber, like all day.
You see, there was a press conference from Nate's last fight. The press conference was getting super boring, so he just like lit up, started smoking mid-conference.
You could do that now,
He can at least.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, marijuana was a real problem because guys would be like 6 weeks out, and they would be their last smoke, and then they would still test positive. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're cutting a lot of weight and you're deleting all that fat from your body, and for whatever reason a lot of guys were testing positive that were like, and so people were trying like 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks out, and guys get real irritable. It just doesn't help your fighting. I don't think like smoking 6 weeks out or 5 weeks out. I think if you were high while you're fighting, then you're making an argument that it might be helping.
Yeah, to me, I don't think it's ever been banned, but
yeah.
I don't think it helped me when I was high. I think what Nick Diaz may have fought high during what was the Gomi fight.
He did.
Didn't they try to give him a lifetime ban for weed?
God. Well, the craziest one is when he fought Anderson, because Anderson tested positive for steroids. They banned Anderson for a short amount of time. Nick tested positive for a tiny amount of marijuana, and they banned him for fucking 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was 5 years. Maybe they got it reduced. I think they gave him a 5 year. Then he fought it and reduced it to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was at that hearing with him in Nevada. It was this girl wanted to ban him for life, and it turned out she was from Stockton, so it had to be some kind of resentment of like he's from the same town but bigger than her. You could just tell it was.
You think that's what it was? That he
she
was
just
bigger
seemed
than her?
like I don't know. She just seemed like resentful because he was from Stockton and famous, and like
Well, I
she
think
wanted to be big.
I think I don't know if it's that, but I think there's definitely a power issue with those folks, with people that have. It's like some people just don't make good judges. They're not good at an athletic commission. Some people just should not have the kind of power that they have.
100% agree.
just
Like,
abuse
the
it.
judge is a good one. Some of these guys, they know nothing about fighting, and why would
Yeah.
you be a judge something you don't know about?
Yeah, I meant judges in terms of like legal judges, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
judges for fighting too. Yeah, it's that's the sore spot. The judges for fighting. God,
Yeah.
there's good ones. There's definitely good ones, but my God, there's some bad ones out there too. You know, did you see the AJ McKee Pitbull fight this past weekend?
Man, I missed that whole card, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I watched highlights of it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the whole fight and score it and see what people think, because there's a lot of people that think that was a bullshit decision. So
yeah, I've heard it was all over the place. I have some friends who are training with the AJ, so
Yeah.
he's obviously biased, but he said it was a close fight.
Well, I mean, it was close enough. I mean, it was definitely close. It was a 5-round decision, but you know, he did score takedowns, but Pitbull did almost catch him in a submission. It's like,
So yeah, some of them are hard to judge, kind of like
Yeah.
the Sterling one, Sterling Yan one. That
Yeah.
one's like it's just what basically comes down to who won that first round.
it does, but it doesn't. Listen, when Sterling takes your back and has your back for the entire fucking round and comes really close to getting chokes in and is punching you the entire round, complete back control. When is that a 10-8? I want to know when that's a 10-8.
No, yeah, it's tough. There's no
Yeah.
clear judging criteria.
Because I watched him take his back, and first of all, I was stunned at how strong his back control is. I always knew it was good.
Yep.
I mean, it was amazing against Sandhagen when he took Sandhagen's back and strangled him. But to watch Jan, no one has ever controlled Jan on the ground like that before.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah, if you're a good body triangle rider and you lock it, it's so hard to get out of. And I think
He's
Jan
so good.
Jan didn't really know how to work to unlock that body triangle.
I was so impressed with Aljamain. I was so impressed with his back taking and his back control, because I know how good Jan is on the ground. He's a fucking beast, man. No one's been able to control him on the ground. The fact that Aljamain was able to get him to the ground repeatedly and take his back repeatedly, I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, no, Sterling's an amazing fighter. I just think because the way the last one went,
Right.
a lot of people didn't really like him. But I have him, he trains at Couture where I'm training people. So I have him spar the 35-pounders I train all the time, and he's definitely the real deal.
Oh, he's the real deal. His jiu-jitsu is off the charts. I think with a situation like that first fight, first of all, it was 100% an illegal blow. 100% he should be disqualified. No ifs, ands, or buts. That was a fucking knee, a hard knee to the face of a downed opponent, and he was fucked up from that. That said, I don't think that's how you could win a title. I think you could lose. You should be able to lose a title that way. I don't think you should be able to win a title that way.
Yeah, no, it made it weird. And like I even like Sterling, friends with him, but it was one of
love
those
him.
things you watch it, you're like, oh, that's kind of a crappy way to win.
Well, win a fight, maybe. Win a title, no. Like win by disqualification, yes, because you get your win bonus.
Yeah.
Okay. But win a world championship, no, you have to win that. You
Yeah.
have to win that. You have to beat a guy. That's not beating a guy. That's the guy fucking up and losing his title.
Yeah, 'cause even though he's a friend of mine, I respect him. I didn't really look at him as the champ until he beat Jan. Now you can say he's the champ.
He's a champ now.
At least in my eyes. I think most people's eyes.
Listen, he without a doubt had the best performance ever against Jan. And he opened up a lot of people's eyes, because a lot of people did not. They looked at Jan as being complete. His ground game is complete. His takedowns, his trips, his striking game is off the charts. And everybody was like, "Look, this guy's a fucking terror." But Aljamain found the kryptonite.
I mean, look at his record. He's fought some savages. I can't remember exactly who. I remember looking at it, being like, "Oh, he's the real deal."
Oh, he fucked up a lot of people, man. Like, if you look at what, I mean, if you talk about Piotr Jan, look at how he knocked out Uriah, beat up Jose Aldo. Like, he's beat the fuck out of some people. He's a fucking bad man. He's a dangerous dude.
Yeah, no, it's Yan and Sterling. That's 35 is an exciting weight. You know?
Fuck yeah.
I just signed one of my 35-pounders to the UFC, Javid Bashra. You know him?
No, I don't.
He's I think 2-0 now. He was the one that got called a terrorist at the what show was that? Like the Kinder series. Some guy called him a terrorist at weigh-ins, which was stupid, but it went viral because he's Afghan.
Oh.
So completely stupid, but it made it go viral like in the Middle East and everywhere. So got him a lot of attention.
Well, there you go.
And then he beat the crap out of the guy.
So you're coaching a lot of guys now? Is that
just a small group. I'm very selective who I train.
How do you decide?
Just guys I like that train hard that I want to work with.
So it's like, so you're in the gym, you're training, and you see guys, and do they come to you and ask you for help, or?
It's generally guys that ask me. I help a lot of guys a tiny bit, but I wouldn't say I'm their trainer, you know?
Right, you just
like
help
I might
them a
go
little bit.
Francis Ngannou a move, but I'm not his trainer. There's guys like that, you know? But there's, 5 or 6 guys that I put a lot of energy into.
And when you put energy to them, do you have a contract with these guys? Or
I
do you
don't. I'm just doing off word of mouth. If they don't want me, they can get rid of me.
And do they pay you? Do they give you a percentage?
Yeah, it's not much. It's small. There's not a ton of money in training, but luckily that's not my primary method of making money. I do it because I love it. It keeps me involved in the sport. I go out there. When you're cornered, it almost feels like you fight.
Right, the excitement level, and
you're just attached to these guys. It's
right.
like they become like your brothers. When you bleed together, sweat together, it's like a brotherhood. I mean, just from jiu-jitsu. Imagine when you're out there like actually fighting. It's like take that and magnify it by 10.
Yeah, well, that's what Gary Tonin said. Gary Tonin, when he made the jump from just straight grappling to MMA, he was like, the thrill of going out there and knowing that you're putting it all on the line and that you could get yourself knocked out.
You can get hurt and embarrassed. People don't think about that. Millions of people might be watching you.
Yeah.
If you want to get like knocked out, covered in blood in front of all your friends, fans, it's a lot of stress going in there. So after going back to grapple that, it's funny when you see people nervous at grappling shows, you're like, yeah, try fighting in front of 60,000 people in Toronto.
Right, that's right. Yeah, you fought.
You commentated that one, right?
Yeah,
that was wild, right?
It was wild being there. Because I remember it was a giant, it was the Rogers Center, right?
Yeah, the Rogers Center.
In Toronto. And it was so big that there was a hotel inside of the arena. And so people in their hotel rooms were looking out their windows watching the fights.
Yeah. Being the main event of that was just wild. Walking out, you look up, you're like, what the hell?
The fucking screens alone were so big. And the roars of the fights, like when someone would score like a knockdown or something like that, like,
yeah, that was still the wildest moment of my career. That was nuts.
Yeah, that was nuts. Is that like what do certain fights stand out when you think about your career where you're like, I can't fucking believe about that fight?
A little bit. I mean, I had a lot of big, I looked through my record and I'm like, holy crap, I fought the who's who of MMA,
Yeah.
Looking back, I remember the Rumble in the Rock tournament. I beat there was 3, two, I fought, was it Yushin Okami and Carlos Condit in the same night, two just complete savages, and won both of those. I was just wrecked after. My friends were like, yeah, we're going to go rage. I'm just like, oh, man, I want to go home. But all right, I guess I'll
Did you go out?
Rage. Oh, of course.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But cuts all over my head, body sore, shin swollen up.
Yeah, you submitted Henderson in his prime.
Yeah, I didn't submit him, but I dominated that fight.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You didn't submit him. Who submitted Henderson? Did somebody catch Henderson?
I don't know what I can think of.
What am I thinking of?
Yeah, he's a hard guy to submit.
Am I thinking of Robbie Lawler? Did you submit Robbie Lawler with the guillotine?
Yes.
That's what
that was you're thinking of.
That was in Strikeforce. Right?
Yeah, that one was awesome too. Yeah,
that was awesome. Yeah, man, you really did fight the fucking who's who.
Yeah, I did not have a padded record. That's what, I wish I had a coach or manager guiding me, being like, maybe we should take some easier fights.
You beat Tyron Woodley by decision. You fought Georges St. Pierre for the title in one of the biggest crowds of all time.
Yeah,
yeah,
Damian Maia.
That's right. Yeah, damn, dude, you had a wild ass career.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I remember, I don't know, 6 months ago or something, I went and looked through it, and I was looking at the guys I fought, and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't get, I don't think I fought anyone, the worst guy I fought would be, 16-3 or something.
No, you had wars, man. You had fucking wars. You really did. You had a lot of wars. Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking back, it's kind of wild. I'm like, wait, I did this for 20 years? I would go in the cage and, try to beat the crap out of some of the best fighters in the world.
Does it seem strange now? You're 3 years removed. Does it seem looking back, what?
It seems a little wild because when you're doing it, it just seems so natural. But it's still, part of me misses it, of course. That's why I'm training guys.
Just the thrill of it.
Yeah, but that's what the training is. When you're cornering a fighter is very close. Not quite. Nothing will match it, but it's you get that same adrenaline because I come so close to these guys I'm training.
So you have your business with your clothing line, and do you think you'll ever open up a gym?
I was thinking about it, but it's a lot of work to run a gym, and it's not a ton of money for having to sit around. And I would do it, but I would have to have a good partner and other people that help me teach. because I enjoy teaching, but I'm not like John Danaher. I don't want to teach 5 times a day.
Right. He's a weird guy, right?
Right.
I mean weird in the best possible way.
100%. I love John, but he's definitely an odd character.
He's so odd. Good luck finding one of those. I was talking to Gordon about that. I was like, good luck finding another one of those. You got a guy who is a philosophy professor from Columbia who falls in love with jiu-jitsu to the point where he lives in the gym, sleeps on the mats, trains all day, and he's not self-obsessed because he's injured. Like he, for people who don't know, John Danaher has like serious injuries. Like he had his hip replaced. I think he's going to have his knee replaced. It's just not sure when.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is from rugby before he ever did jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. No, yeah, I was training in New York when he had the hip replacement and the knee, and he was just an absolute pain, you could tell. But he's a stoic guy. He would, limp in with a cane. He couldn't show the matches, so he would like sit there and point with like a staff.
Yeah.
He would make like Gary show the moves. And then there was a couple month period, I think, where he's going through the pain where sometimes he would just go off on Gary. I'm like, oh, poor Gary. He's showing it wrong.
Wow.
But man, yeah, he's a smart guy.
Oh, he's a genius. It's just very rare to get someone of that intellectual, that high level intellectual capacity that gets obsessed with jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general. Like when I found out that he was Gary Tonon's striking coach as well as his jiu-jitsu coach, I was like, holy fuck, that's insane.
Yeah, when I started talking to him about striking one day, I was in shock. He was showing me like different boxers and kickboxers and like showing their offense, their defense. You're like, wow, this guy is like an encyclopedia. He knows everything. He knew the same thing with wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like he'll name like some Iranian wrestler and he'll like know what he does. It's like, wow, this is just insane.
Yeah, his knowledge base is spectacular. And they say that's all he does. Like he'll teach all day and then he'll go watch videos all night.
Yep, he would in between classes. He'd be watching videos, then back to a class. I don't know how he does it.
I mean, how many of those guys are out there? There's no one out.
I think just one,
Right.
just him.
I mean, other than him, you got like Faraz Sahabi, who's also a brilliant guy, who's also fascinated with the sport and can give you a lot of feedback and can name a lot of different styles of striking and jiu-jitsu, but
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of brilliant guys out there, but there's no one like John that just completely dedicates his life. No family, just all he does is watch tape, train people.
how is that how is that possible?
Yeah, it makes no sense. And his intelligence level too.
Right, like how is he not bored?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Why are you teaching so many classes? You think he would just do the pro team now? He's rich now, or making good money.
Right. I mean, it has nothing to do with it. He wears rash guards everywhere.
Yeah.
The guy, I don't even know if he has a car. Does he have a car?
He finally bought one last time I was out here. I was terrified getting in the car with him because he had it like 3 days. but he drove really well. I guess he's an intelligent guy. I was impressed. I'm like, you want me to drive, John?
What kind of car did he get?
He got, what was that? A G. Oh, man, I can't think what it was.
A Jeep?
No, not a Jeep. It's like, dang it, I'm having a brain freeze. It's these, it's like a semi-fancy car, but not super fancy.
Oh, so he's just out here.
Yeah, probably like a $50,000, $60,000 car. So
I'm
nice,
very
but-
happy he's out here. I'm very happy he's out here. It adds to Austin.
Yeah, so much. It's like I visit Austin a lot regardless, but now I have an excuse to come out and train with him and Gordon and Gary, just the best jiu-jitsu guys.
Were you training with them in Puerto Rico at all?
No, I never made it to Puerto Rico. I hear it was terrible out there. Other than Gordon, he loved it, but everyone else thought it was terrible.
Why did they think it was terrible?
I think there was just nothing to do. They were like a gated community. It's all dudes in their 20s, single, and you're out in a gated community where nothing's going on. Like, imagine that. That does not sound too fun.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good time unless you're gay.
Yeah, then it would be the best time.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It's a lot of
But
dudes.
a lot of dudes hugging each other. So they were in a gated community. Were they close to the beach at least?
I think so. I think it was nice, but
Yeah.
it was just boring. I think that's what helped lead to the split of the team, which is very unfortunate.
What caused that? Do you know?
I a little bit, but I don't want to go and
Yeah.
air people's dramas.
Yeah.
I'm neutral because I'm friends with everyone on both sides.
It's a
but-
bummer.
Yeah, it's a total bummer because
Yeah.
I like everyone involved, and I tried talking to hey, is there any way this could be resolved? And it was just like, no. I'm like, all right.
That's crazy. It's crazy that they're all out here too. They all came to the same city and then they split up.
Yeah, the B team. The name's hilarious.
Very funny. Well,
They
they're funny.
embraced it.
Craig's hilarious. He's a funny motherfucker. You know, and Nicky Rodriguez is a fucking freak athlete. That guy.
You see his brother just won
Yes.
the ADCC trials and like
Yeah.
I think less than a year training too. It's like talk about that family.
Amazing. Well, that's real. You know, that's genetics. There are people that are just, they have amazing, and then they'll have a background in something else, like maybe gymnastics or, you know, some other explosive sport, and it translates very easily to MMA or jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, no, those guys they picked it up so quick. Nicky
Yeah.
Rod, I think he been training a year when he took third or second in Abu Dhabi.
Wow,
And then his brother won the trials. And the trials now are like 250 people per weight. It was unreal.
That really is crazy. But it makes sense because it's such a athletic pursuit, especially no gi. No gi is so athletic. It's, as Marcelo Garcia was talking about that. He was saying the difference between gi and no gi is that your athletic ability has so much more of an impact on no gi.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of like older people and stuff prefer the gi. It slows down the pace.
Sure, definitely.
You ever train with the gi, or you must all know gi?
I train gi and no gi. Yeah, you definitely feel like things are. The thing I don't like about the gi is like the weird stuff when people try to choke you with their clothes, like they try to like wrap their lapel around your neck and like. Okay, are we bringing weapons in? Can I choke you with my belt? Because you can, right?
Yeah, I think so. I never did much gi, so it was kind of...
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You could choke someone with a belt. But what I would do is just do no gi techniques with the gi. So I use the gi defensively because it made me watch my P's and Q's and make sure anybody doesn't get like a deep grab on my collar or something like that. But as far as like the techniques that I use, other than very rarely I will pull out like a clock choke or something like that, most of the time I'm using no gi techniques with a gi.
Yeah, whenever I put a gi on, it's 100% no gi techniques.
Yeah.
Crazy thing is I went and, when I was a purple belt, I was back when the Brazilians were like, you're not really a purple belt. So I went and threw it on for like 1 week and went and won it.
They said you were not really a purple belt because you didn't train with the gi.
You remember that time period, right,
Yeah.
when they were really critical of the no. It's not like that's much anymore, but I'm sure
kind of
Eddie
abandoned
got a
that.
bunch of crap for that, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, they did. But he was a black belt under Jean-Jacques Machado. Like, he was a black belt in the gi. But there was a time where there was a ridiculous idea that the only way to learn jiu-jitsu was with the gi.
Yeah.
It was so... And Eddie Bravo had a great way of putting it. He's like, if you wanted to get really good at racquetball and they told you to only play tennis, would that make any sense?
Yeah, of course not.
No, you'd want to play racquetball.
Yeah, or to wrestle.
Yeah.
To wrestle, you got to wear a gi.
Exactly.
Like, no, it made zero sense, but people were adamant about it.
But it's like one of those things where people who did the gi were so good at it, and they were so technical, and there were so many grips and so many things that they could do with the gi that they couldn't do with no gi, and they would get frustrated because they would roll no gi. So they would say, "No, you want to learn real jiu-jitsu, you got to put the gi on." So they'd make people put the gi. It's like I would talk to MMA fighters, and I'd go, how's training? Oh, it's been great. My coach is really making me work hard with the gi. I'm like, why?
Yeah, I encourage MMA fighters not to because it's you can do it occasionally, but it's not really going to add to your game, in my opinion.
It's totally unrealistic.
If I was just doing jiu-jitsu, I'd say do both if you have an opportunity.
Yeah.
But for MMA, that's why I never did. I wanted to fight right away. I was trying to learn jiu-jitsu for fighting, not some stuff where I'm upside down or someone could elbow me in the face or that weird jiu-jitsu game.
There's some weird jiu-jitsu games out there now. There's like so many elaborate and exotic techniques that guys you like. I have so many saved that I find on Instagram, and I save them to go back and watch. I'm like, what is he doing? And then I go back and watch some just like exotic calf slices and some fucking weird way to take the back, and like, whoa.
Yeah, it's unreal how technical it is right now. But
So
for self-defense, I think it's gotten pulled away from that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's so much of it that will work in competition for sure, but. I mean, you're not going to do that kind of roll on the street. Like, this is nonsense. But then again, there's certain things that you would never do on the street, but you can't deny the effectiveness of an Imanari roll to inside control and a heel hook, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can't deny that.
Yeah, I would
you
never
see guys do it.
It's awesome when it happens. Someone like Gary Toney can hit him, that Ryan Hall, these type of guys.
So many guys. There's so many guys. There's so many like elite level Imanari roll guys now.
Yeah.
I mean, I see guys doing it in MMA.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you see it. But for me, I can't really roll. My neck's too messed up. I can't do that rolling stuff.
Oh, really? Is your neck fucked up from jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. It's not like in pain all the time, but it's just so stiff. I can't. If I go roll my head, it's like, it hurts.
Have you ever used one of those iron necks?
No.
You never have?
No.
Really?
What's that do?
Oh my God! It strengthens your neck and it gives you great range of motion. I'll give one.
Okay.
I have. They gave me a stack of them to give to people because I always bring it up to people. Like, Fuck, I forgot what to give one to Mike Tyson.
Well, yeah, I definitely want to try one.
Yeah, it's my favorite neck training tool of all time for sure. It's the best.
Yeah, because we get in fighting and wrestling, you get a lot of use on your neck.
Yeah, well, what it does is it allows you to strengthen your neck, but use like full rotation but not bending, not like that kind of shit, which is fine if you don't do it wrong. But that's what it looks like. You put that thing on your head, and the way it spins left and right, there's resistance in it, so you can tighten or loosen it depending upon whether or not you want to increase or decrease the resistance. And so you're doing that. And that's this guy's got it attached to a cable machine, and I do it that way as well. But most of the time I do it, I attach it to a bungee cord. There's like a 50-pound bungee cord, and so I back it until it's like at full resistance with the bungee cord, and then I do my rotations, and I'll do, they call it the Stevie Wonder. You do like this. Ebony and ivory. You know, like the neck roll.
Man, I'll definitely do it.
Yeah, you'll love it. And then this one, the extension and retraction. It's a great move. I mean, it's a great piece of equipment. It's just it's hard to strengthen the neck, and that's, in my opinion,
yeah,
the best
it's
way.
hard when you lift weights to use the only thing for your neck. It's a hard thing to work, but it's one of the most important. For fighting, it's one of the most important things you use.
Did you ever get bulging discs or anything in the neck?
I think I have a couple bulging discs in my neck. I got a X-ray probably 15 years ago, and the doctor's just like, "Oh, you need to find a new career. You're not gonna, you could never fight again." And I wasn't too happy. I walked out of the office, and I was tempted later to send him winning world title fights, being like, maybe you need to reconsider a new career.
I remember you and I talking about this backstage because you had hurt your back, and they basically just told you to quit.
Yeah, and that last couple of years of my fighting, I did have a lot of lower back injuries. But
yeah.
I was able to fix that actually by doing really light deadlifts. I was always scared to deadlift because I threw it out deadlifting, but a guy talked me into, I literally would start with like 15 pounds on there. Now I still only usually put like 135 and just do reps of 20, and I've had no back problems since.
Well, that is a big issue with people's backs, is that they don't strengthen it enough, and they don't strengthen it correctly and safely.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer now. I tell everyone with back problems, like, hey, try the light deadlifts. Obviously different injuries are different. I can't say 100%, but I've had multiple people try it and like, wow, my back's better now. Within
That's
a couple
awesome.
weeks a lot of times too.
Well, you got to think all that muscle around, like when you think about a deadlift, just the actual act of it, it's one of the best exercises ever for full body strength, right? And if you do it with a light weight, it makes sense that it would strengthen all that core stabilizing muscles, all the muscles attached to your lower back.
What happens, a lot of guys try deadlifting with extremely heavy weight, and they throw their backs out, so they get scared to do deadlifts.
Yeah.
You have to really learn the technique and form before you go heavy.
Yeah, but even, Robert Oberst, you know who he is?
No.
He's a giant strongman dude. I mean, he's one of them immense guys whose head is as big as his table. He's just a fucking complete gorilla. And he discourages people from doing deadlifts. He's like, you shouldn't do it. They're going to fuck your back up.
Yeah, I would think you can do it if you do it light with proper form. And that's probably why he discouraged people, because they probably put a ton of weight on and just try ripping it up.
Yeah, I do them. I don't do them with heavy weights, though, and a lot of times I'm doing them with kettlebells. A lot of times I'm doing it like 2 70-pound kettlebells, so it's not much weight, and I don't, I just do them for reps. And
yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I do straight leg deadlifts, too, for hamstrings. But I think people ignore strengthening the back, just the actual back, because it's not like a sexy thing to do like
low
back extensions.
Back,
yeah.
Especially low back. Like, you'll do the upper back, but the low back, no one's like, oh, I gotta get my lower back ripped.
Did you ever use the reverse hyper?
That thing was great.
Fucking thing.
But hardly anyone has them. I need to buy one for my house because hardly.
We have one
gyms
right here. Yeah, I have one here. I got it from Rogue. Rogue sells it.
Yeah, those are amazing, but hardly any gyms have them.
It's so important, man. On a gym right over here has one too, but it's having a reverse hyper machine in the gym should be standard. Every good solid gym should have one, just for back maintenance and strengthening your core and active decompression.
Yeah, every single gym, all the 24 hours, they all should have them. It's unreal to me they don't, because that's like the most important thing for fixing your low back.
It really is, and that's all Louis Simmons. Shout out to the great and powerful Louis Simmons. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Oh, he died?
Yeah, he just died recently.
What? I didn't know. How long ago?
3 weeks ago?
Oh,
3 weeks ago. He was one of those guys, one of the rare guys that we traveled to go do a podcast with him.
Oh, man.
I was like, I need to do a podcast with Louis Simmons. I mean, He's the Mac Daddy of strength training.
Yeah, I was just out with Marcus from Strong Style. You know, he was, you know who that is? He's Stipe's trainer and stuff. And that's what he uses a lot of his system. And he's like, oh, yeah, next time you're out here, I'll drive you down to his gym and we can meet him and stuff. I'm like, oh, that'll be dope. So it's terrible to hear this.
Yeah.
I never met the guy, but that's just still so sad.
Yeah, he was in Columbus.
Yeah.
We were down there for a show, and I was like, dude, we gotta meet Louis. He was just such a character. He told me that after shoulder surgery, he had his shoulder replaced, and he went to the gym, and they made him max out with bench. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you do that? He's like, they fucking made me.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean they made you? You just got your shoulder repaired.
Yeah, some trainers are completely clueless.
Well, these guys are all juiced to the tits, too. They're out of their fucking minds. They're all just complete savages, just going for numbers.
Yeah, you used to go to a powerlifting gym.
Just look at his body.
Yeah, that's how I was at a powerlifting gym. That's how they all look, just juiced out of their minds.
Yeah, and also both of his biceps were gone. Both of his biceps had detached. And he just was all about powerlifting and all about innovation. He was always like innovating with new exercise.
Yeah, his methods definitely make you strong. You can't deny that.
Oh, no denying.
Healthy? Probably not. I mean, he's an
Probably
example
not.
of him dying. I think a lot of those guys die young.
You know, how old was he when he died? I think he was like 70. Was he 70 even? 67 maybe? I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess 70. Jamie will find out. 75.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
So, yeah. So he's a little older than I thought.
Pretty decent age to kick the bucket.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I thought he was a lot younger for some reason.
Bro, he's tearing his body apart like most of his life. He has no biceps. His biceps before he died, they weren't attached.
That's crazy. At that age, he was still lifting, right?
Oh, he's an animal. He's an animal. I mean, we met him. He was 70. Right? It was probably about
for sure.
5 years
that's
ago.
What he used, like when he was younger.
That's what he looked like?
Pretty sure.
Dang.
Unless it's somebody else.
Boy, that doesn't even look like him.
They're all so jacked, it's hard to tell.
I guess so. That's what he looked like.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Were you out at the Columbus card, or are you only doing the pay-per-views now?
I only do pay-per-views now.
Yeah.
I don't have the time. I only do North American pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I don't have the fucking time.
Yeah, the schedule. They do a fight like every week with your podcast and comedy. That would be make no sense.
There was one time a few years ago where I did 22 events a year. When I was commentating on 22 events a year, it was crazy. But it was fucking with my comedy because I couldn't really do a lot of weekends on the road and do clubs and stuff. It was. Yeah,
I think you're doing the right thing, but I'm glad you're still doing it. You're like it's crazy. You're the one like revolutionized commentary, podcast, like a top 10 comedian. It's
just luck.
Yeah, right. It is crazy because you're a smart dude, but you're not like an Elon Musk, and you've been successful in so many different fields. It's amazing.
It's very bizarre, but
you
it's
have
just
people eat pig dicks though.
I did have that. I got lucky that I found things that I enjoy doing that are a career. That's all it is.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely partially luck. I mean, obviously, you're really good at what you do, but it's still
luck.
It's still you're good at what you do, but there is luck involved for sure.
First of all, there's luck that there's those careers. Because at any other era, right? Because imagine from like 93 to today is a very small window of time. If I had been born in any other era, all of my jobs except being a stand-up comedian would be non-existent.
Yeah, you'd have to be doing like a late-night talk show.
But I would never.
Imagine how terrible that would be.
They would never give me one.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they would never give me one.
Or you'd have to be like Stephen Colbert.
I would never, not only would I not I wouldn't be good at it, I wouldn't enjoy it, and then they would never give me that job. Because I'm not that guy. Like, there's people that are good late-night talk show hosts. They're great at bringing in the band, and, all right, we'll be right back. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Those are like schmoozy, fucking... different kind of guy.
Say whatever they want. It's sad. It's sad seeing like Stephen Colbert because I used to think he was funny, and seeing him now just like is cringe.
He's weird, right?
Right, like the vax thing. You're just like, oh my god, this is so hard to watch.
The vaccine songs.
Yeah, you saw that, right? It's like,
that
oh
was
my god,
strange. Like, I want to be in the meeting when they pitch that. Like, here's the thing: we're gonna go da 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 vaccine.
Right.
Like, where's the joke? I'd be like, where's the joke? Are people going to watch this?
Yeah, you wonder, is a guy happy like that doing a job, or is he just like the money? It's definitely, I guess people get so attached to being famous and getting money, they'll do whatever it takes.
I bet it's, for sure, very lucrative. He gets a lot of money. I bet he enjoys being the star of a show. He enjoys being on the in. He's in on the in crowd.
He can hang out with Obama probably,
Oh.
and Hillary, and all these important people.
Have you ever seen the video of him dancing with Chuck Schumer and high-fiving each other?
Thank God I have not.
Oh, you need to. You need to see it right now.
All right,
There's
let's
a
pull that
video. They're at some sort of party, probably where they're giving everybody Satan snake venom blood. And
I just want to go on
The
the
mark
record
of
and
the
say that
beast.
that's definitely true.
it was the reason why they made that In the Water documentary.
And Q too.
Yes, the QAnon people. But there's this video of Colbert dancing with Chuck Schumer, and they high-five each other. And it's so strange. And I think Schumer's even wearing a mask.
Oh, my
Like, look at him
God.
dancing. Give me some volume so I can hear what the fuck the song is. Look at this. Watch this. Look, they're high-fiving.
Jesus.
And Schumer's dancing outside with a mask on. Like, this is going to go down in history, like this time where, look at all these people outside with masks on. This is like a mass psychosis. But meanwhile, Colbert doesn't have a mask on, which is very odd.
Some people are exempt.
He's a risk taker. Look at him. He's a wild man, but he high-fives the guy.
Yeah, this is just humiliating.
Like, what is that?
He can't enjoy doing this, I wouldn't think.
Well, he might.
Yeah, I guess you never know, right?
Like, people are different, man.
But yeah, the whole
I mean,
the
I
whole
don't-
outdoor mask thing was just odd. When I was in San Francisco, I'd be the only person like Golden Gate Park walking my dog without a mask, and people be looking at me like I'm a freak, walking around, turning
mad at you.
their backs on me, yelling at me. But I'm like, I'm not gonna put a mask on outside.
Dude, I have friends that would yell at people to put masks on. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you upset at this person? Do you even pay attention? They say you should wear a mask. Like, no, who are they?
Yeah, they.
Who the fuck are they? Do you know those people who say you should wear a mask used to say you shouldn't wear a mask?
Exactly.
And now again say you don't need to wear a mask?
Yeah, no, it makes no sense. There's been not a single scientific study showing they help.
Well, first of all, if you're going to wear a mask, those N95 masks are the only masks you should wear. Like, they explain that there's like, what did Osterholm explain to us? There's some sort of a magnetical, what is it? Electrostatic charge
Yes.
in the cloth that actually does protect you somewhat. So those, if you're going to wear a mask, a well-fitted N95 mask is the only kind of mask to wear. But even then, you shouldn't be wearing it outside.
Yeah.
And even then, it's 2022. Okay.
Exactly.
So we get it now. Everybody was in a frothy panic.
Yeah.
We're all right.
There was like a 2-week period where I got N95 and wore it only indoors. Then I'm like, hey, this is ridiculous. I'm just gonna walk around maskless and get yelled at all the time instead.
It's a weird time for kids, man. You know, they're talking about children's development and the children who grew
down.
up during this, that like there's a large uptick in speech therapists where their speech therapists are having to treat kids where, you know, young kids just
Well, imagine kids trying to look through the mask and figure
Right.
out what you're saying. That's got to be so
Right.
difficult. I have a hard
yeah.
time. If someone's wearing a mask, I have a hard time making any kind of a personal relationship with them too. I
Yeah.
try to like be empathetic, but it's just so hard for me to communicate something with a mask. I use the facial cues too much.
It's brutal when you're trying to talk to someone in a crowded restaurant or something like that, and someone's talking to you and you really have to struggle to listen to what they're saying because they're talking like a normal way. And you're like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. I'm trying to like get through this with you.
Yeah, it's tough. The funny when they have the mask and they pull it down when they talk to
Yeah.
you, it's like, doesn't that kind of
Okay, you just killed
mask
me.
is meant for?
You just killed me. You pulled the
You gave
mask
me
down.
COVID.
Now we're both dead. This is it's a weird time. But one of the things we were talking about before the podcast, it's so true, is the difference between different kinds of communities, the way they handled it, and the community of fighters and jiu-jitsu people. Nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah, it was. I was so fortunate to be in the best possible community because all my friends. I mean, some of the guys stopped training for a couple weeks, but they were right back at it and just kind of, we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
I guess if you fight people in a cage, you're not really gonna be that scared of catching COVID.
Right. And you just found out today that you had it at one time.
I'm a survivor. I didn't know I had COVID, but just found out I'm a COVID survivor.
Now you can like get some sympathy. Yeah, no one knew. There's a lot of people that got it that didn't know until they get those antibody tests.
Yeah, it was like I hardly ever get sick. I had a light cold like once. Stayed home for a couple of days and I was fine, but I guess that must have been COVID.
Well, do you take any supplements, or is your diet just sufficient enough to?
I think my diet, I mean, I probably should, but I think my diet and just working out, low stress living, not having a boss, being able to do what I want, I think makes me healthy.
That's interesting. Not having a boss.
I mean, don't you feel a lot healthier because of that?
I guess I haven't had a boss in a long time.
Yeah.
I guess I still have a boss in the UFC, but
like kind of.
sort of.
I mean,
yeah.
but you can kind of do what you want. You're kind of exempt.
Well, they're pretty easy with me. Anyway, they've always been pretty easy with me.
Yeah.
But that's the one place where I still have a boss.
Yeah. You're such a big part of the UFC, they wouldn't want to lose you. Or I
Well,
think
they
it'd be
know
terrible if they did.
I'm not trying to fuck anything up. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm trying to do my best. But it's yeah, that's interesting though, that having a boss and having like that kind of stress hanging over your head. That isn't, especially your boss is a dickhead.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah.
But you take it for granted. Like, I mean, having no boss probably like over 20 years, you're probably the same, I would assume.
Yeah. It's been a long time. Well, no, Fear Factor. I had a boss then.
That was probably one of the, not one of the best shows you did in your opinion, or no? Trying to think of a nice way of wording that.
It was a very good show for me financially.
Yeah, it blew you up.
Yeah. Well, it gave me fuck you money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was the big part of doing a show like Fear Factor, so that I didn't have to think at all about money anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't. It made me relaxed in a way that no other show, nothing. So that allowed me to do so many other things, including the podcast, because I started the podcast right after Fear Factor.
Yeah, so that was great. And I remember when you first started cage commentating, like you were a big name, so we were excited. Like, oh, Rogan's coming and doing this; it'll help legitimize the sport. So that was probably from Fear Factor, right?
That was actually News Radio.
News Radio. Okay.
Yeah, News Radio was when I was doing backstage interviews. I guess it was Fear Factor when I was doing commentary.
That's what really blew
Yeah.
you up, right? Like
News
to
Radio
to the mainstream. Well, I mean Fear Factor. Yeah,
yeah.
to the mainstream people.
Yeah, that was the big one. Yeah, nobody knew who I was when I was on News Radio. I was just a random actor on a
Never watched that.
One of 8 people on a show.
Is that worth going back and watching or no?
It was a fun show. It was a good show, but there's better shows.
Maybe I'll try watch a couple episodes, see if I can get into
You
it.
can see me as a young, cute boy.
Back and like, oh, look how young I was. So weird, right?
It's very strange. And hearing my voice was different then because my nose was fucked back then. And I also still had a little bit of an accent. Still had a little bit of my Boston accent that I hadn't shook off yet. You know,
The Boston.
yeah. There's like
That's where you grew up?
sort of. I grew up everywhere.
Just cold, angry people in Boston.
Oh, they're so angry. Yeah, mean women too.
Yeah, right. I was over there a couple times. Everyone's just angry, yelling at everyone. It's freezing. You're like, what is this place? And then you're like, Boston sucks. They get all mad at you. It's the best city in the world.
It's the best. I can't wait to go back. Yeah, the people that love it there. But the people that I didn't even know girls were nice until I moved. I thought they're just gonna be mean. Like they're pretty and mean. You just got to deal with them.
Yeah, why isn't she yelling at me? Something's wrong.
Yelling at you and telling you what to do, and you better fucking call me. Oh.
Yeah, it's the guys that stay in those relationships always crack me up.
Well, if that's all you know, I didn't know girls were nice until I moved to California.
Yeah.
When I moved to California, I'm like, you guys are so nice. Like everyone's so nice, Like I don't like, some fighters, like in some MMA guys and jiu-jitsu guys, they like aggressive women who yell at them. They like that. They like those bossy women. Some guys like it.
Yeah, no, 100% true. I have some friends like that. I'm the exact opposite. I don't want some girl yelling at me, bossing me around.
I don't like that from my friends. I don't like that from girlfriends. I don't like that from anybody. I don't like anybody in my life that's a control freak that likes bossing me around, telling me what to do.
Yeah, my relationship in life is that. No one like that. You cut those people out.
It's weird how many guys like that though, isn't it?
I don't know if they like it. I think sometimes they get just like suckered into. They don't know how to say no. They start letting the girl boss them around slowly. You see them suck their life out of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it fucking happens though. Like that's the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith thing. That's what that is.
Yeah, I didn't really know anything about that till the slap, and I started looking that up. You're like, ooh, this is bad. Did you see the video she posted?
Yeah.
And she posted that, so she thought that would make her look good.
Right. Well, she's annoying the shit out of him. And he's like, hey, this is my social media. That's my bread and butter. She's like, turns the video on herself. Like,
yeah, could you imagine your wife showing up in your house and starting to film you
God.
without your permission? Like, it just seems
and
like
put it online? That's like you're living with an enemy.
Yeah, it just seems so unimaginable to me.
It's so stupid. I can't imagine why he dealt with it as long as he did.
You got to get him on the show.
No chance.
I think it'd be great. But it could be a little weird. Because then you'd have to have like some awkward conversations.
It'll be real weird. But I'm just not interested, man. I'm not even. I I like actors. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of like really interesting actors. Like Robert Downey Jr. is very interesting. Ed Norton is very interesting. There's a lot of very interesting guys that are actors that I would love to talk to. But that world is so fucked. It's so fucked. It's like the fact that they didn't escort him out of there immediately and arrest him. The fact that they let him give a fucking speech and win an award afterwards shows you how fucked that world is. There's not another industry in the world. Imagine the Nobel Prize. Imagine if there was a fucking guest comedian during the Nobel Prize. Or imagine, the White House press correspondence dinner. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Where Michelle Wolf did it once and she mocked Trump. And
Trump could have went and smacked her.
Imagine if somebody walked up and smacked her in the face.
No, it's unreal. And Chris Rock, too, like a legendary comedian, one of the greatest of all time. And you're going to slap him for a little, I thought, harmless joke.
Completely harmless.
Yeah, that was doesn't set a good precedent, you being a comedian.
Great, not just harmless, but like cute.
Yeah.
I mean, he's talking about G.I. Jane, which is a movie where Demi Moore plays a really hot female Navy SEAL. It's not even an insult.
Yeah.
It's not like they're making fun of a bad movie that, everybody mocks.
Yeah, it was harmless. And he was laughing, and then you see she kind of glanced at him, and then he runs over, and yeah, he's definitely in an abusive relationship.
There's just some relationships that aren't good for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get stuck.
Yeah, you see guys that don't know how to get out, or girls. I'm sure it goes both ways.
Oh, yeah, it for sure goes both ways. There's asshole men for sure.
Yeah.
My mom was married to one.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from it. There's assholes in this world, male and female. It's just I like nice people. That's what I like.
Yeah, people that aren't going to try to boss you around and completely run your life.
I like people that want to be friendly.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about living in Texas. People are so much friendlier here.
Yeah, so much. It's weird. They come talk to you. You're trying. My friend from New York was like here visiting.
What the fuck do they
yeah,
want?
Why are they talking to me? I'm like, bro, no, it's how they are here.
Yeah, it's called being nice. Yeah, when I lived in California, that was so rare. Well, California more common than New York.
Yeah, in California got a lot weirder over the last 5 years, wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. Like L.A. and San Francisco, at least.
Well, it definitely got really weird over the last 2. But before that, I think, there was a lot of weird shit that happened when Trump became president, where people got super polarized. And there was so many people that got like really ramped up about politics and really ramped up about the kind of us versus them dynamic that I hate the most about politics, about parties,
Yeah, I know 100% because I'm an independent and I have a ton of friends that I think fighting brings more conservative, but I spent most of my life in San Francisco and New York, so I have a ton of liberal friends, and you should be able to sit there and have discussions with them. And with all my friends I can, but some people get all worked up, they'll start yelling at you. Those are like, it just makes no sense.
Well, they want everybody to know that they're on the right side of things, and that's one of the reasons why they get ramped up. And for me, it's like it was my liberal friends that would be yelling at the conservative friends. Like the liberal ones would be the ones who'd be the most ramped up, and it's like,
yeah, no, the current liberals have turned really weird, and that's what I don't consider myself conservative still. But these they do things that I just can't associate with. How they'll just they seem a lot more intolerant.
Yeah, I lived in San Francisco from age 7 to 11. And that was like a very formative time of my life. And I always consider myself liberal. My parents were hippies.
Yeah, same.
And
My parents were hippies, so I always grew up considering myself liberal, but not anymore.
Yeah, well, it's like there's a difference between what liberal meant then and what it includes now. It includes now like a lot of stuff that it didn't include. Like it includes now people that want military action. It includes now people that want censorship. It includes now people that are intolerant to other people's ideas, and people that like think it's fine to insult people and to be like really aggressive and shitty to people online
and physically attack you.
Yes, there's a lot of that too.
Yeah,
right?
That's when I first started following politics. When I was in Berkeley, Antifa were there just like beating people up over that guy Milo's speech.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's also weird, right? It's like then the Antifa, those people got tolerated by people on the left, and they thought of them almost as like they're the thug branch of the left. Like they're gonna go, clean up all this bullshit and because people were so upset that Trump was president, they kind of tolerated a lot of this, and I don't think they would have tolerated in a more rational, sane time.
Yeah, no, I had friends that were sticking up for Antifa, and that definitely bothered me. I mean, I wasn't going to start yelling at them, but I was trying to explain these people aren't the good guys. I've been at places where they're physically attacking people and had to fight them.
Yeah.
They attacked me, called me a Nazi, but then I beat a couple of them up, and they're like, oh, never
Really?
mind.
They attacked you for what?
Because some guy was getting beat up in Berkeley, so I pulled the people off him. Then they started swinging on me.
Oh,
then I dropped one, and then all of a sudden someone's like, "Oh wait, he's not a Nazi. Oh, he can fight."
He's not a Nazi. He's a professional fighter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this whole punching Nazi thing. I remember I had a conversation with someone like that. They're like, what's wrong with punching Nazis? I go, who gets to decide who the Nazi is?
Yeah.
If you're talking about Hitler, yeah, go punch Hitler. If you're talking about an actual Nazi, yes. But you're not talking about a Nazi. You're talking about someone who might vote for Trump, okay? Like, maybe they're just misinformed. Maybe they have a wrong perspective, and maybe you can give them your perspective, and you can enhance their perspective. But saying you're going to go punch them is not going to help anybody.
Yeah, I know. It's because to them, a Nazi is a Trump supporter now. So it's unreal. And I've been like a couple places to attack people. I went to my friend Mike Cernovich had like a speaking thing in New York. Some guy got put in the hospital, attacked by Antifa trying to come in.
Jesus Christ. Well, that was the whole thing with the Proud Boys. Like, that was the original idea of the Proud Boys was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
And then once he got a bunch of guys to join up, he was talking about it on my podcast, and he was saying, like, we're going to go out and punch these Antifa people. And I was like, oh, this doesn't sound like a good idea. Whenever you have like a gang, you're creating a gang to go fight this other gang. Like, I get the idea that this Antifa thing is a problem, but the solution, I mean, what is the solution? Law enforcement? Like, what?
Yeah.
Intolerance by law enforcement, right? Like, law enforcement can't be tolerant of it, rather.
And they are, yeah. Because actually, when Berkeley, after I saved that guy, I pushed him into like to a business. They were going to knock the business windows out, but they're like, "Oh, it's minority owned. Don't bust it." Like, that makes it different. So a bunch of Middle Eastern guys saved them. So then I run out, grab the police, because they're still beating other people up to get help, and the cops are just like, "Oh, we can't go in there."
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I was in shock. That's when I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, cops can't do a lot if they're not funded. That's the thing too, right? All this defund the police thing. That was one of the weird things about lefties, is that all of a sudden they wanted to defund the police. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, now look at the crime places like San Francisco. You're just
crazy.
getting robbed everywhere. I have friends getting robbed, cars stolen, jacked with guns. It's unreal there now.
It's unreal. It's not just unreal. People leaving the hatch of their car open and leaving their doors unlocked so that people don't smash their windows. Like, people are smashing their windows so much that people are just leaving their doors open.
Yeah, their cars, windows down in cars. It's just signs everywhere. Please don't smash out my window.
Yeah, I'm a single mom. I work 2 jobs. Please don't steal.
And then they'll still knock the window out.
I saw a guy. There was a video of this guy walking through Brooklyn, and he had a crowbar, and he's just smashing windows. Just walking, smashing windows of people's cars.
Yeah.
Just randomly.
No,
like, that used to be so rare. If that happened, it was like, what happened? Some fucking insane person had a crowbar, and he walked down the street smashing windows. Now I see it, and I'm like, that kind of fits.
Yeah, because they know there's no repercussions.
Exactly.
In San Francisco, the DA will let you out right away.
Well, New York too, and also L.A. Like, L.A.'s got a real problem with that. My friend who's a cop in L.A. was explaining this to me, how much the homicides have gone up, and how many he sees. And he's like, he was just describing it just the other day. All these different people that he saw get shot.
Yeah, no, the defund the police pushed by Black Lives Matter. It's mostly black people getting shot more now. So it's been a complete on the opposite of what they wanted.
It was that, but it was also a lot of white liberals. It was a cute thing to say. They wanted to say defund the police.
I'm not saying black people pushed it. I'm saying that's what it caused to happen.
Right.
Because the white liberals are mostly fine. Well, other than getting robbed in San Francisco.
They get robbed in Beverly Hills too.
Yeah, people getting robbed for their watches and.
Yeah, they're getting robbed having brunch. They're trying to sit outside and have brunch. Like, you got to realize, like, those places don't have any security. There's a crazy video that Colion Noir, do you know who he is?
No.
He's a lawyer who's also a Second Amendment advocate, and like a really good one. And
I think I may have seen a few minutes of him on your show.
Yeah, he's been on my show a couple times. Very, very good guy to talk to about all things gun related and all things like problem and crime really, because he's very rational about it, and he's a lawyer. But he sent this video. We put up this video of these gang members who are leaving LA because it's too dangerous.
Too dangerous for the gang members. Wow.
And I was like, what? And I sent this to a bunch of friends because like the guy who was a former gang member, who was like a very well-respected guy in that community, was talking about how he's got to get the fuck out of L.A. because all these people are going to get let out of jail. And as bad as it is now, he goes like, it's bad now, but it's going to get worse. He's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, they're letting people out of jail that don't belong out of jail. Like I saw yesterday, a guy shot 10 people in, I think it was South Carolina, out in $25,000 bail.
Yeah.
Yet Cain Velasquez is sitting in jail with no bail.
Now, how's that possible? How come they don't let him out? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I think maybe he should have charges and have to, deal with it, but he should be out on bail. There's no reason why he doesn't have a bail.
Well, he's not out, but the guy who raped his child is out.
It's just disgusting.
Which is insane. That's insane.
Yeah, right.
That you can let that guy out because of what this insanely horrific act that he did.
Yeah.
And then this other guy who responds like, if you look, I'm not justifying what he did. I'm not saying he should be shooting guns randomly, driving down the street trying to shoot out the window at this guy. But everybody, if you're a father.
Yeah, I'm a father. Yeah, I have a daughter, so I get it, yeah.
All of us would say, that's what I would do. Everybody would say, I'd fucking kill him. And Cain actually went out and tried to do it.
He did what we say we would do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I actually would or not, but we all say it. And could you imagine Cain Velasquez chasing you?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, that's the only thing that I said, that like, I wish he just pulled him out of the car and beat him to death.
Like, out of anyone in the whole world chasing me, Cain would probably be like the last guy I would want. He's just like a scary dude.
Scary dude. And doesn't get tired either.
Yeah.
You know?
Cain, get tired,
there's guys that I put in that category of like greatest in the division of all time. There's like GSP as a welterweight, Usman as a welterweight. Like, but when you get to heavyweight, man, primetime Cain. Primetime Cain was a motherfucker.
I think he might have been the greatest. My only problem was he didn't hold it long enough. So it's hard to give someone that when you don't hold it for a longer period of time.
Didn't hold it long enough, and he never fought Fedor. That would have been the fight.
Imagine those two in their prime. Oh, that would have been.
We almost had it.
Yeah,
we almost had it. The Russians were in negotiation with the UFC. The guys who were managing Fedor. I saw them. They were at a UFC once, and they had conversations with them, and they were trying to make it happen.
Damn, that would be amazing.
Maybe Bellator. Maybe that's a fake memory.
Bellator can do it now after he gets out of jail. A little late, but I'll still watch it.
I said I saw him at the UFC, and now I'm going over it in my head. I'm like, I think I might have made that up. So long ago, I might have false memories.
Isn't that weird how that can happen?
It can happen, especially with that. But I mean, there's so many events. It's so hard. But those guys that owned Fedor's contract, fuck, man. If they had just made that fucking fight, if they had just brought him over, but they wanted a ton of money and they wanted to be part of the promotion. It's like they knew that Fedor was a legitimate superstar. And so they, like, in terms of like maximizing his amount of money that he can make, they were, it was in their best interest, but they were trying to maximize the money. And then they took him over to Strikeforce, and then Verdum got him.
Yeah.
Who's another guy that, if you want to talk about greatest heavyweights of all time, in my opinion, Fabricio Verdum has to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah, he's great too.
He submitted everybody. He submitted Fedor, Cain, and Nogueira.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
No, he's definitely one of the greatest.
And if you were on top with him, you're in deep shit. You're in deep shit. He's one of the rare guys that if he catches you in a triangle, man, you're fucked. Fabricio Verdum had a triangle. Oh my God, his arm bars, everything off his back. Like when he caught Fedor.
Yeah.
Caught Fedor with a triangle off his back. And everybody's like, oh.
Everyone was just shocked, yeah.
Oh.
Same thing when he beat Cain. I was live at that one. It was just like shocked watching Cain start to gas.
That was a bad one. Because Cain really should have been up there way earlier.
Yep, Verdum was smart. Mexico City is extremely high elevation. 6,000 feet or something?
Plus.
When I got there, I went for a run. I was like dying.
Well, not only that, the air quality is really rugged. Like, that air quality is rough. I took photos when we were landing. I was looking out the window. I was like, oh my God, look at the fucking smog.
Yeah.
It's so much worse than LA. Like, it's fucking bad there. At least the days that I was there. And then you have the altitude. Yeah. Cain went out there like 2 weeks before, which is not enough.
You need like a month.
Fabricio was up there for months.
Yeah, it takes a while to adjust.
You got to really acclimate. Like, I can't imagine. They say you should do one of two things. Either you should not go there until right before, or you should be up there for a long time. But those are the only two. But going there 2 weeks out actually might fuck you up.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it actually might slow you down because your body's like, what the fuck? So you're going through all your training, you're not recovering. Like it takes a while for your body to get into this high altitude cycle. I was in Boulder once, and our waiter was a endurance athlete, and he told me he had moved to Boulder just so he could train at altitude. He goes, well, it's beautiful here, but I'm an athlete. And so we were talking to him, and he does bike races. And I was saying, how long does it take your body to really acclimate? He goes, really acclimate? 4 years.
Jesus.
And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah. He goes, it takes a long fucking time to get used to there being no oxygen. And so there's short-term benefits, but to get the full benefit.
Years.
He was like, years.
And
I don't know if he's right.
Will they hold that for years probably too, or you don't really know?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think you hold it very long. That's the scary thing. I think when you train at altitude and you come back down to sea level for a couple of weeks, I think it all goes away.
That's what sucks.
See if Google, how long does it take to maximize the benefits of training at altitude? How many years? Google that. How many years does it take to maximize the benefits of training at altitude? Because I always wanted to look this up because that's one of those things where someone says it to you, you just take it as gospel.
Yeah, exactly. You just believe it without looking it up.
He was a serious dude, though. He was serious about all aspects of his training. Like he was telling us about his recovery, how he does this and how he does that. And I mean, he was like a fucking gung-ho endurance athlete. That's a different kind of person, man.
Yeah, I don't know who would want to do that. Like those 100-mile runs, I'm good.
That's my buddy Cam, and my two friends, David Goggins too. He's an animal. He just keeps doing them. David Goggins did them on destroyed knees too.
The 100-mile ones, or 50,
he's done,
whatever.
He's done a
crazy.
shitload of 100 miles. Well, I think Goggins might have done like 100 miles in a month or something like that.
I feel like you gotta have something wrong with you to do that.
Oh, he's got something wrong with him.
Oh, yeah. Our friend John Joseph, he does all those triathlons too.
Yeah. He does a lot of those Ironmans. But yeah, Goggins is a lot wrong with him, but it's all right. It's wrong, but it's right. Like it's not that there's anything wrong. It's just that if you want to compare him to a regular person, he doesn't give a fuck about pain. He doesn't give a fuck about tired. He lives and dies in his own mind. And when he thinks that someone doubts him or that you don't understand how strong he can be, you don't understand how strong his mind can be. If you want to get in a race to the death with that guy,
I'll pass on that one.
Because that's the kind of thing that a guy like Goggins would thrive.
Could you imagine?
A race to the death.
One of you guys gets murdered after whoever stops.
No, you know what it would be? You run till you die.
I would just give up right away. Be like, chop my head off. I'm going to lose this one.
That could be a thing. Like they used to have duels. So if a duel was like two guys would agree. Like, you annoy me so much, I'm going to get a gun. And we're going to back to back. We're going to walk 10 feet and shoot at each other. Fuck you. Like, you're ready to die. Maybe you'll shoot me, but I'm going to fucking at least be able to shoot you like a man. And we're going to go and do this. They agreed to do that.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
100 years ago, I think. Not long ago.
Not that long ago. Well, wasn't at least one of our presidents involved in something like that?
I think so, but if I can't remember who or any deals behind it.
One of our presidents was in a duel, right, while he was president. Do you remember who it was?
Who killed Alexander Hamilton?
Really?
That was like the whole thing. But was he even president? Hold on.
Wait. No. Alexander Hamilton died in a duel?
That's
Hamilton
like
wasn't president. Remember? We talked about him the other day.
Drink milk commercials like Aaron Burr. I can't say Aaron Burr.
Huh?
There's an old milk commercial from the 90s. There was a guy radio call. If you answer this question, you win $1 million.
Right.
Who killed Alexander Hamilton? They call the Alexander Hamilton guy. He's got all this shit in his apartment.
Oh.
And his mouth is full of a peanut butter jelly sandwich. You can't say Aaron Burr.
Oh, that's
that?
right.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that commercial.
But as I'm saying it out loud, I feel like he wasn't president.
No, he wasn't. We talked about it the other day. Remember, someone brought up who was it that brought that up? That he had gotten blackmailed.
I think it was Andrew Jackson, maybe. Did he kill?
But but Hamilton
shot,
got blackmailed because he was banging this lady, and her and her husband set him up. Remember?
Right. Yeah, because that's the play.
Who talked to us about that? It was real recently. It was one of the recent guests. Who the fuck was
Bill
it?
Maher?
Was it?
Probably.
Might have been. Sounded like something he would talk about.
How many of these? You do what? 2 or 3 podcasts a week?
Sometimes 4.
Damn.
Sometimes 5 on a crazy week. Yeah.
Dang, you busy. And how much do you do in comedy?
This week 4. 4 nights a week.
Yeah. By the way, your show killed it when I was out there last
thanks,
time.
brother.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and all your openers, you had great guys too.
President Andrew Jackson, thank you. May 30th, 1806, future President Andrew Jackson kills a man who accused him of cheating on a horse race bet and then insulted his wife, Rachel. Wow.
I think he had a lot of duels.
Oh, he had a lot of duels.
Yeah, a few duels, no big deal.
More than 100.
What?
Can you imagine Biden or Trump doing a duel?
What?
Not every duel ended in... I remember looking this up. Not every duel ended in someone dying.
Click on that. Of course not. They had
100?
terrible
Yeah,
guns. Their guns were terrible. You could probably.
100 duel. That's just insane.
That's insane. He was a savage.
I think he even had one where he got shot and survived the shooting to end up shooting that guy back.
Whoa!
And look at our presidents now. We had guys like that and Teddy Roosevelt.
And now, did you see the video today of Biden? He starts talking about Afghanistan and Pakistan, and an Easter bunny comes and takes him away.
I'm looking that up after the show.
I'll show it to you during the show.
It's just the funny part of people that can't admit something's wrong with them.
Look at this. But hold on. Go right there. But Jackson didn't settle his score in 140 characters or less. He challenged his foes to duels, more than 100 of them. One opponent even died, so he only killed one guy. But that was the guy who insulted his wife. However, for the most part, people would stand and fire their gun in the air, purposefully miss their opponent, making the duel more about a test of courage when one's honor was at stake or their reputation was threatened. Oh, that's interesting.
If you back down, then you're a giant pussy.
But you don't shoot at each other. Like, you make a deal.
Like barely
I'm not
miss,
going to
or-
shoot you.
Maybe that's what you were hoping.
But yeah, well, that's a fucking...
That's quite a risk to take.
That's a big risk.
Hope Joe doesn't shoot me in our duel.
Yeah, I insulted Rachel. What does it say there again? Scroll up. It says, not every time Jackson lost his cool with a gun in his hand is documented, but here are 4 that helped give him his reputation as a rage-filled lunatic, and a few that left his body rattling like a bag of marbles. Oh, so he had that was the thing. If you got shot back then, the velocity of those little muskets, that is not like getting shot today. I don't think those things are going that fast.
You're probably less likely to die.
You might be able to catch one.
And this is the guy they selected as president. So things have always been crazy, apparently.
Yeah.
His
That's a
daughter.
wild dude.
With his pistols.
But back then, I feel like gunfights are probably pretty normal, you know?
Yeah, someone insults you, go shoot it out.
And maybe they will become again.
So when did it stop?
When they stopped, yeah. Probably like in the 1900s or early 1900s, maybe World War I brought everybody together. But if you think of the United States and you go to the 1800s, what do you think of? You think of Wild West, think of gunfights. If you think of New York City, you think of gangs in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the one I remember reading about this. He had gotten shot close to his heart and still had the wherewithal to.
Within a few seconds, Dickinson fired, putting the first bullet into Jackson's chest next to his heart. Jackson put his hand over the wound to staunch the flow of blood. Despite smoke and dust billowing from Jackson's coat and his hand touching his chest, Jackson remained standing, puzzling Dickinson. My God, have I missed him? The duel's protocol stated that Dickinson to remain in place while Jackson aimed to take his shot. Jackson fired, but the flint hammer stopped half-cocked, not counting as a legitimate shot. Jackson aimed again, ever so carefully, and fired a second time. This time, the shot was good, and the bullet hit Dickinson in the chest, and he dropped to the ground. Reflecting on the duel, the doctor remarked to Jackson, I don't see how you stayed on your feet after that wound. To which Jackson responded, I would have stood up long enough to kill him if he had put a bullet in my brain. Whoa.
Yeah, and he didn't
It's a
get
hardcore
arrested.
man.
Mhm.
That's a president right there.
Yeah, right? Things sure have changed.
He died later that night. Jackson was not prosecuted for murder, and Dickinson would be the only man he ever killed in a duel, something that did not prevent him from becoming president in 1829. Wow.
People might not have believed the story either, too, how that
Right.
story would not got around.
Right, there's no video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. You got to be accountable to duels today.
I already killed someone.
Right. He had more than 100 duels.
100 kills.
Yeah, 100 duels. Like, he might be an asshole.
Right.
Like, how many people is he arguing with to the point where they're pulling guns out?
That's a lot, 100. I
Right?
think maybe like 2 or 3. Maybe it's them. If it's 100, it's probably you.
But he...
If he's famous, he probably was getting challenged a lot, too, People
Right.
drunk at a bar. There's
Hey.
that Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, with
I fucking-
shitty booze, too. probably imagine how bad their whiskey tasted. Oh,
Yeah, like look, there's just a group of guys, and they're like, "Fuck, I'll fucking fight them."
Yeah, they're probably so bored they'll fight anybody back then.
No TV, no internet.
Oh, and everybody smelled. No soap.
Oh.
Right? Everybody stunk.
Yeah,
Everybody
that must
had
have been so
their
gross.
teeth were rotting out their fucking heads. Oh my God! You imagine living back then? Everybody must have stunk.
Yeah, well, things were so bad. People would be like, "Hey, let's just try like trucking across to the other part of the country. We have no idea in a wagon. We might get killed by Indians, bears."
Yeah, they would fly, or rather, sail in from across the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
They
Not
didn't
even
know
knowing
what they
what's
were
out there.
gonna
Yeah,
see. No idea.
Probably gonna die, but better than staying here.
That's the difference between people of then and people of today. People are scared to take a plane flight somewhere when you have absolute video of what's going on over there, who the people are.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, man, that's a different kind of human that gets on a boat without even a. How do I know for sure? No assurance.
Yeah.
How do I know it's good over there?
Yeah, where are we going?
I'll
we
draw you a
don't.
picture. Like it's a completely different kind of world. Like when they first experienced their first winter in the Northeast, they must have been like, "What the fuck did we do?"
Yeah, and why didn't they start walking down at that point?
Right.
Like, why would they stay there?
They just didn't know. They probably thought the whole continent was like that.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, if they landed in the Bahamas, that's probably when they got the word out. Like, listen, it never gets cold. It's nice.
Yeah, whoever hit Florida was like, "What are you guys talking about? It's
Yeah.
cold? What? When?
It's great over here.
When they hit Florida, that's there's that book about Cabeza de Vaca. What is it? What is it? A Place So Strange? Is that it? I think that's the name of the book, A Place So Strange. But it's about Cabeza de Vaca and the group that came with him that made it across through Florida and into North America. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like living back then was insane.
Yeah, just wild.
Insane.
Some wild stuff to read is about the conquistadors when they first came in. I've read some of that. It's just wild.
It's not that long ago, man.
Yeah, just so wild.
It
Completely,
seems like a long ass time ago, but like I had this bit in my act about the when the country was founded. I'm like the country was founded in 1776. People lived to be 100. I'm like, that's 3 people ago.
Jesus.
That's all it is. Like that seems 1776 seems like a long time ago, but that's not even a trick of numbers. It's not that long ago.
Yeah, the amount of time basically, because it's 1542 is when Cabeza de Vaca came through. So like take 1776, reverse back the same amount of time from now to 1776, and that was like the first person across North America to the Atlantic to get over here.
Yeah, it's so wild.
Nuts.
And now look at this country, like just how crazy it is, how big, how massive, the massive cities, like
Yeah.
how fast things change.
Imagine if you could show that to someone who was like a Native American tribal leader in like 1820, who was just like conquering the plains, like some Comanche tribal chief who had conquered this area. This was all Comanche territory. And you were going to tell him, bro, I got some bad news for you. This shit's about to get crazy.
Yeah.
Unrecognizable. Imagine showing him like what would... People that hadn't lost to the Europeans yet, right? The Europeans hadn't come over and given them diseases and genocide and all that. That hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Imagine going to one of those people and explaining to them what it's going to be like in 300 years.
They would think you were crazy, kind of like that snake blood and the virus.
Yeah. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Disney World's gonna be here.
Disney World. Right
Imagine,
here.
take right where you're standing.
Right where you're standing.
People
Epcot.
dressed as a mouse.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in the future, people are going to be mad at them because they're too woke. And their stock's going to go down.
Yeah.
Like, stock.
Yeah, what is that?
Imagine trying to talk to a person in 1720 and telling them in 1720, dude, 300 years from now, it is going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Think about it's only 300 years.
300
so where will
years.
it be in 300 years? Will it be that big of a change? Hopefully not.
I think it's going to be even bigger. I really do.
Yeah, Elon will have those things in our brain. And
100%. There's a funny meme. Somebody put up a funny meme of the difference between the way people look at Elon and people look at other people that propose terrible ideas. I'll forward this to Jamie.
all right.
I'll forward this to Jamie. I made a screenshot. But it's just any other time when a person is, saying, like, literally saying, I want to put a fucking chip in your brain. Look at this. Bill Gates, let's make more vaccines. And then the people are like, no, you will put microchips in our bodies and track us. And then Elon Musk says, I will literally put a microchip in your brain. And the guy says, LMAO, nice.
It's definitely interesting because a lot of truth to that.
100%. Me too, man.
Yeah, that's such a wild dude.
I'm gonna be in. I'm gonna get a Neuralink. I'm gonna be the smartest person in my fucking house because they're all gonna go second. I'm gonna go first because they're all gonna go, Dad, don't do it. I'm gonna like, shut up. I'm trying to get smart.
I'm gonna be smarter than all of you.
What if there's like kids figure out how to hack their parents' Neuralinks?
They will. They'll control me.
Problem is,
All of a sudden, I'll be telling them they can come home whenever they want.
Jamie will be out of a job when you get your Neuralink.
Why? Oh, because
he'll be able to do it all yourself.
He's got to connect to my Neuralink.
That's right.
That's the only way it works.
That's right. I'm lazy still.
True.
I still need Jamie. I'm not going to be Googling things on the spot. I see dudes doing that. Some podcasts, like dudes have a laptop right in front of them. I'm like, how can you still talk?
Yeah, they need to hire an assistant.
It's a lot because the problem is like you're not like fully focused on talking while you're typing.
You can't listen and type. Believe me, I've tried.
Yeah.
It's impossible
Yeah.
to be reading and listening at the same time.
You know what the worst is? If you're talking and someone's talking in your ear. That's impossible.
Well, that's yeah. Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Literally impossible.
Yeah.
That is so hard because if you're in the middle of talking and someone is talking at you at the same time, it's so hard to just ignore that sound.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not easy.
If I'm talking about like earphones, like if you have if you're doing commentary and someone's talking while you're talking, it fucks you up.
Have you ever tried one of those apps where it recreates that, where you try to tell someone something and like you have headphones in and it jarbles your speech?
Oh, really?
So like you don't even know what you're saying. It's like this situation right now, but what you're hearing back in your headphones will be your words just messed up.
Oh, so you would hear like an amplified even though you're talking, the words are being blah 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 blah.
Correct. Yeah. So then you start.
And it
you're
plays
like,
back
I can't
for you.
I don't know how to talk anymore. Yeah, it's fucked up.
Oh wow, what is that app called?
I don't. I'll check it real quick.
That sounds
it's
like
almost like a game, but
yeah, it sounds like a fun exercise.
We've got an app for everything.
Literally, man. I mean, there's so many people that are thinking there's too much already, and we're on the precipice of something like a Neuralink. There's so many people that are like, I need a flip phone. So many people that are like, I need to disconnect.
In the metaverse, and it's weird. I hope never live in the metaverse, but unfortunately, it might be the future.
It's gonna have to.
Yeah.
The thing about the metaverse is like, what if the metaverse existed, and you could do jujitsu pain free?
and go do cage fights again.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, right? If like the problem with biological tissue is it gets damaged, it doesn't heal right, and then your knees are fucked, or your back's fucked, or your brain's fucked. But if there was none of that, but all of the sensation,
I mean, it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I guess there'll be some good things, but overall it'll be weird.
It's gonna be weird.
Like guys will just start dating girls in the metaverse.
Oh yeah, for sure. You won't even know if it's a girl. It'd be like some Russian general. He's pretending to be a girl, and this is your girlfriend.
That's your girlfriend.
Yeah, and you make love to each other.
She'll look hot in the metaverse.
Yeah, so he looks hot in the metaverse, right? And then the people be like bigoted against, like, are you trans network? Like you should like I don't like to make out with people in the metaverse if in real life they're a straight man. Like fuck you. What's wrong with you, bigot?
Yeah, there's our future.
That's our future. People will find things to argue about for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll probably be hiding out in Montana trying to resist it.
I'm worried that what's going to happen is some people are going to control aspects of the metaverse the same way people control social media sites and enforce their own standards, especially when those standards are like very biased towards one political party or one ideological.
Which like Twitter and Facebook, the censorship's.
If that happens in the metaverse, like what if that's how it is in the metaverse? What if they dictate very specific styles of life? And the way you want to live, like you can't live there. You can't do it that way. They won't let you. They'll find you. They'll hunt you down. The same way they kick you off of YouTube, they'll hunt you down in the metaverse. Like it's not even real.
Yeah, I never even thought about this, but you're probably right. The same people that are doing that are the same ones running Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, to decide what you can talk about.
They could literally be the masters of the world. If you're in control of an actual metaverse, so if they create a virtual reality that is amazing, maybe even more vivid than this reality that we're currently experiencing. But they have absolute control over it. They're dictators in this world. They can do whatever they want to you. Like it's crazy.
Wild. Turns like the Matrix.
Yes.
Which we're not that far off.
I don't think it's far off at all. I think it's going to sneak up on us the same way phones snuck up on us.
Well, internet. When we were kids, there was like no internet around. And now it's like everything.
It snuck up on us. And I think this virtual reality world that people are inevitably going to enter. Because what's going to happen is they're going to make a version that's simple and easy to use, and it's going to be better than real life. That's all that needs to happen.
Especially a lot of people are not social, not that cool, don't have a lot of friends, so it's different. Like, you know, you have your comedy clubs, your circle, you go out, you get treated great everywhere. A lot of people don't.
Right.
So. And
they don't enjoy their lives, and they don't, you know, they don't like what they look like, they don't like how they feel, they don't like their past. Though all those things are fixable if the metaverse is real.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. You could see why someone, you know, had things going tough. They're not like that anymore.
Yeah. It would be wild you could live other lives. You could like decide that I'm going to be a sailor. I'm going to sail around the world in the metaverse. You don't have to live anywhere.
Now I'm kind of wanting the metaverse. I'm going to have to try this out.
Right? I mean, if you had like, imagine if you can just plug yourself in and all of a sudden you are fucking scuba diving. Like all of a sudden, like it feels like scuba diving, but you're still in Brooklyn. You're still in your apartment. You're chilling in your apartment, but you have this, you know, fucking 86 terabyte video connection that's allowing you to, you know, the bandwidth is insanity and the processing power is insanity. It's indistinguishable from real life, and you can just plug into it.
Yeah, no, you can see why people would be intrigued. The problem is people aren't going to want to live the real life. So that can happen? People will probably stop dating, stop going out. Civilization could collapse.
It really could. Because, you know, the real life is fine if you look like Nicky Rodriguez. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure that guy's living life fine. Like 6'4", chiseled, jacked.
Jacked, perfect specimen. Yeah. That guy's life is great, right?
Yeah. But some short, fat guy, life isn't great. He's not Nicky Rodriguez.
Right. Yeah. So it's like if you wanted to be that guy, and you could be that guy in the Matrix, or you could be Captain fucking Schlub in the real world where nobody likes you.
I'll be Nicky Rodriguez. Fuck it, sign me up.
But that's what's gonna be weird. Is like when anybody can be Nick Rodriguez, or anybody can be The Rock, or anybody, you know, anyone can be
you.
Yeah, anybody can be a person that they wish they were. That's when things are going to get very strange. Because if they can give you a life, if you can be Indiana fucking Jones, and you could literally be in the Temple of Doom, stealing the crystal skull or whatever, you could be that guy. Like, you could live that. Like, why would you go to regular life? You would just do whatever you have to do to make money. To live like that.
Yeah, I mean, even like me, my life's great, but that sounds interesting. So it's so imagine someone who's not. It's going to be they won't be able to leave it.
Right. We detailed how insanely interesting your life has been, and now you're willing to give it all away and try.
I'm ready to sign up for the metaverse. I wasn't until this conversation, but you sold me.
Jake, I think it's going to be impossible to avoid. I really do, and I don't think it's far away. I don't think it's far away at all. I think it might
10
be
years, maybe
20 at the most. But I think within 20 years, I mean, look, dude, 20 years ago was 2002. We all had flip phones. There was no iPhone. It didn't even exist then. And, you know, most of the time we didn't even text each other. We called each other.
Yep.
But we thought we were crazy. We had an internet connection. This is crazy. I had a website.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Well, I'm living in the future. We didn't even know what the future was.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
MySpace, you're like, wait, I could just go meet random girls on here?
The way that was set up and the way people like lived then, we didn't live like, boy, I can't wait until the internet is on my phone at high speed and I can take 4K video and I can, you know, upload it to Snapchat. We didn't think like that because we didn't know that was a possibility. But now we do. And now we have social media addictions where people are like legitimately addicted to checking their likes on Instagram and reading Facebook comments and writing things and going back and forth with each other and not even in the real world.
Yeah, I had to put a timer on my phone with social media so it would like shut down.
That's good.
Yeah, like I'm using this too much. I need to shut this down.
Would you give yourself?
Like an hour.
That's good. An hour's plenty.
Yeah.
An hour's plenty.
If I'm in an airport or something, maybe I'll like break the rules, but other than that, I'm like, all right, I can't cheat this. Yeah, an hour's way too much, but you can go through that so quick.
It's gonna be so addictive,
Like,
Jake.
wait, my time's up?
What if that's in your head, and you can? My flight is not for an hour. Let me go to the Bahamas and chill on the beach for 45 minutes, and then come back. In your head, you can be on the beach drinking margaritas, feet up, listening to seagulls.
Yeah, why fly to Hawaii? I got to take like an 8.5-hour flight there on Thursday. I could just go there that way.
Oh, me and the family went to Hawaii. Did you guys go to Hawaii? Well, not really, but we got the Hawaii
We bought
program.
the app for it.
We got the Hawaii program, and it was not even half the price of going to Hawaii, and it was so much better.
Yeah, we stayed at the Four Seasons.
And everybody was nice. All it has to do is be better.
They can make San Francisco nice again.
Yeah, clean up all the poop. Imagine they find out that human shit actually fuels the Matrix. Like, boy, this is amazing. So San Francisco would be a good place because you could just scoop up all the human shit.
Yeah, it's perfect.
The app that they had in San Francisco that shows where all the bum poop is.
And most of it's not even registered, obviously. It's like everywhere. I mean, you used to go there all the time. It was a great city. I loved it.
It was
I
great.
had so many good memories there, and then just to watch it decay. It's like, what happened to this place?
It happened so fast too, man.
Yeah, it just shows you how you don't want to run a city.
Yeah. It happened from 2016 on.
Yeah. It was slowly declining a little before that, but I think after 2016, it really started dropping.
Everyone was so tolerant. It's so tolerant. Like, that's the thing that did them in was the thing that made them awesome. Like, one of the things that made San Francisco awesome was how tolerant everybody is and open-minded everyone is. It's a very progressive, liberal city, which is great until you add bums.
Yeah. Well, and I think also the fentanyl came in, which is stronger than heroin. And then the meth, I think a lot of them are doing meth instead of crack, which lasts a lot longer.
Yeah.
So they're on harder drugs. It's completely strung out. Zero repercussions. They're allowed to still. So there's just, it's not compassionate. They should be forced into rehab, not, allowed to like OD on the streets.
That's Michael Schellenberger's position, and he's a guy who's running for governor now. And
Oh, really?
He worked for George Soros. He's like a progressive politician. But after a while, he realized that these policies are creating these problems. And this idea that you can just live in a place for free and you get free money and free food and that you just do drugs. Like,
yeah, it's insane.
It's insane because no one's going to stop doing that.
Yeah, I used to be major pro, like all drugs should be legalized. But after seeing that, I'm like, okay, there has to be something where there's like forced rehab.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't think any adult should be able to tell you what you can and can't do. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't believe, like, you and I are adults.
Yes.
I'm a little older than you, but we're both grown-ass fucking men with kids.
Yes.
I shouldn't be able to tell you what to do, and you shouldn't be able to tell me what to do. That's crazy. If Jamie told us both what to do, like when you go home, I don't want you eating pineapples. Like, why?
Yeah, exactly. It makes
Pineapples
no sense.
are fucking illegal. They're sacrilegious. Like, what? Like, that's the difference between, like, someone saying you can't smoke marijuana, but someone saying it's okay to drink vodka.
Yeah, makes
or
no sense.
You can get a prescription for OxyContin. Well, that's...
Yeah, I think most drugs, there's a lot of people can use recreationally and be fine, but there's just, when you see fentanyl and meth, you're like, okay, those two people don't seem to be able to use recreational.
Yeah, there's not a lot of meth advocates.
Casual meth smoker.
Yeah. The thing about fentanyl is it's really deadly in very small doses. That's the scariest part about it. It's like that stuff does people in.
And super cheap now. So you can just buy it up for cheap.
Well, you ever seen the amount that kills you? Have you ever seen the image?
I know it's like a really small amount.
Dude, you're going to freak out. It's so small. Put up the amount of fentanyl that kills you. There's an image of a penny. And next to the penny is, or actually on the penny, I think, is a lethal dose of fentanyl. And it's so small. You're like, that'll kill you?
Yeah, it's crazy. And now they're dosing the cocaine with fentanyl.
Yeah.
People are ODing on that. I don't know if you've seen that. It's
I have seen
crazy.
That. They're dosing a lot of things. Street Xanax. They're dosing.
Street Xanax. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, they make fake Xanaxes.
Jesus.
As I look this up, I feel like we have to grain of salt maybe because I remember seeing all the DEA pictures of weed and they're like, this is $17 million worth of street weed. It's like, no, it's not.
Right, that's true.
Well,
but
because they do the price if you're selling it by a gram. People don't go and sell like pounds of weed by the gram.
But I think this is the lethal dose, though. And from what I understand, I think it's accurate because they did this study on how much more potent it is than heroin. And it's something crazy. Like, Google that. How much more potent is fentanyl than heroin?
Even if it's double that, it's still insane.
I think it's way, Oh, yeah, if it was double the amount.
So, yeah, even if that was off by, like, 2 times.
That's just it's compared to heroin here.
Yeah, lethal dose of fentanyl. relative to a lethal dose. Yeah, see, that's
Wow.
But I don't
damn.
know.
Heroin's not a lot.
That's what I mean. I have a friend that is a nurse, and they said like fentanyl's given to people, and
Yeah,
they have to be given
It has
more
to be
than
used very carefully.
17 crumbs worth of fentanyl, right? But it's mixed with other things.
it's mixed with this, but they use a very small amount. It's a very, very, very small amount. I don't know why fentanyl was even invented. It's not like we don't have heroin.
Yeah, well, I think
there a
I think
shortage?
for extreme pain, people that are in really bad pain,
But doesn't heroin do the same thing?
I think it does. But
There
I-
it is.
but I
So
don't
that's the
think-
size of a lethal dose. Comparison to lethal dose of heroin. What is that word?
Which one?
Carfentanil.
Carfentanil?
Oh, okay. So lethal dose of heroin, carfentanil, and fentanyl. So carfentanil is like,
carfentanil?
I don't know. I never heard of it until just now. Then there's fentanyl in powder form and fentanyl in pill and crystal form. Ugh.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's scary shit,
Yeah.
man, because it's coming in from south of the border.
Yeah, it's clearly not
People
a
are
good
making
drug.
a lot of money, and they're getting the precursors for making these things. They're getting them from China, and it's like, whoa.
I think the meth's a lot stronger now too.
Yep, it's just
Yeah.
pictures
Coming
like this
from
remind
Mexico.
me of the DARE program, and I'm like, that fucked me up so much with all of the misinformation on drugs.
That is true. Does it say the amount? Because I think it's like a crazy amount. Like it's 100 times more deadly than heroin, or 100 times more potent than heroin.
It says it's generally stated to be 2 milligrams in this article about what the lethal dose was.
Does it say what heroin is?
And aren't we at like 100,000 ODs a year or something now?
Yeah, it's the
Crazy.
number one cause of death for young kids between 18 and 49 is fentanyl
Yeah, this
overdose.
is wild.
That's nuts. 100,000 a year. But meanwhile, how much does it take to overdose? Does it say? Anyway, it's not something that people are thinking about as a
This is 200.
200, as opposed to
It's
what?
No exact deadly dose. 2 to 200, 2 milligrams it says. And the other one,
so it
but-
is 100. Yeah, so it's 100.
Yeah, I don't
100,
know.
100 times stronger. Fuck.
Yeah, it's wild. And
Yeah.
and what's the answer? Is this?
I don't know what the answer is, man, because it's so deadly. Like, the problem with that is that's so easy to kill you. Like, if you fuck up, you take the wrong shit, you're done. Like,
Yeah. Overall, I have no answer, but I know in San Francisco they need to arrest the dealers, force the people in rehab. It won't fix it, but it would help a little bit.
again, I don't think adults should be able to tell other adults what to do. The problem with fentanyl is that it's real.
Well, they're causing problems. I think that's why
Yeah.
that's the exception with them. If you're
Yeah.
using fentanyl and you're keeping your life together, then I shouldn't force you to rehab. Which there are, functional heroin addicts and whatnot. But
There's definitely functional heroin addicts. But are there functional fentanyl heads?
I have no idea. I guess I don't think people really share the fact when they're using fentanyl.
There must be like
There's
the
gotta
OG,
be.
like
Yeah.
the GOAT.
For sure. They just know how to use it. They
The
probably
goat of
dose themselves
fentanyl?
right. Yeah.
There's probably
a
a
Joey
few
Diaz
people.
of fentanyl out there somewhere.
Yeah, but there's a few guys that can
Dog.
use small amounts. Don't overdo it. I'm sure it's out there, but it's not the norm.
No. But what do you think should be done? Do you think they should make it illegal?
I think with fentanyl they have to. Even most drugs they don't feel that way. I think they almost have to, and then go after the dealers and force the people using it into rehab, or maybe force them in rehab for an infraction. The problem is they let them steal, they let them crap on the street, they let them sleep on the street. Something's got to be done. I mean, LA was the same. You see how out of control it is.
I think also the problem is a lot of these people that get forced into rehab, they don't want to be a rehab.
Yeah.
Some people do. Some people realize they fucked up. They want to get better, and those people generally do get better. But the people that
You're
forcing them in there, and
Maybe-
also, who knows what their childhood was like? Are you forcing them in there because their childhood was horrific?
Yeah, maybe
knows?
isolate them to like an area outside the city where you just give them an area and they can
Yeah.
OD themselves, and it's not ideal, but it's better than because right now they just run rampant and terrorize the street, terrorize
Yeah.
people, and that's clearly not the right answer.
No. Well, whatever San Francisco is doing, they should do the opposite.
Do the opposite.
What's
yeah,
it, whatever the opposite is.
Yeah, just do the opposite of San Francisco's doing. Austin's ran pretty smooth for a liberal city.
Well, they definitely cleaned it up when they got rid of the outdoor camping, and they've made it a place where they've put a considerable amount of effort into housing homeless people and getting them shelter and getting them taken care of and getting them counseling. But I talked to the mayor about it. He was like, there's a problem in Austin, but it's a problem of like 2,000 plus people. He's like, when it gets to like LA size, that's when you can't manage.
Yeah, they let San Francisco and LA go so far that where would you even begin to tackle it now?
I think LA's worse. Have you been to Skid Row?
Not in years, luckily, but it was terrible before.
I haven't been to it since the Fear Factor days. I was filming Fear Factor down there, but I have friends that have been recently, and they say you can't even imagine what it looks like now.
Have you been to Venice Beach in the last couple of years?
I haven't, but I've been watching videos.
It's wild. Because
It's
that used to be
wild.
just like so nice, like probably one of the most popular beaches in the world. I
They
went
let
out there and I'm
crazy
just
people.
like, what is going on? This is insane.
They let crazy people fucking start camping.
There's tents all along the Venice
Yep.
Beach now, and people just
Might clean that up.
did they?
Yeah.
Why did they clean that up?
I don't know. I just remember when we were there, I'd asked someone, and they said, like, here, I'll show you. They said, look at the video of live. It's just live camera. And
We'll see how long that
Oh,
lasts,
nice.
though.
That's
looks
nice.
It'll start switching around, too, but
Yeah,
The camera will switch around?
yeah, it'll show different angles of the boardwalk and whatnot.
Yeah, I was there a few
So-
months ago and it wasn't cleaned up.
Was this a place where there was all tents?
Yeah, that's right by the skate park, right at, like, the main part.
But was
No,
the way where I
tents
had
are more
saw
further out. Yeah, this is like more in. The tents are further out.
what I saw was like on the edge of the water.
Exactly.
Yeah, is that what
I'm just saying, I've seen video of this stuff, and it's pretty fucking clean.
That's good. That's great that they cleaned it up. I haven't been to Venice.
I'm skeptical.
I haven't been in quite a while. But that looks pretty good.
Hold on. That's just the water.
Why don't you Google have they cleaned up the homeless problem in Venice? That looks pretty good. There's got to be a bunch of crazy people.
It
that are
was
still
really
hanging
bad in the
around
last
there.
couple months, so I found it hard to believe they've cleaned it up.
Okay, look at
February.
that. That
February.
was an area
Yeah.
that used to be completely covered in tents.
Yeah. So there's probably still a few random people, but there always has been in Venice, you know?
That's a lot better. So if that's February, that's months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that all those videos that were out and all the talk about it,
Oh,
is that a
it's their
cop?
audio. It's their scanner audio.
Live Venice. Oh, interesting.
See? Look.
That's pretty good.
So I wonder where they put them.
They killed him.
I'm not going to ask any
They
questions.
fed him to the other homeless people. Yeah, what do they do? How do
Yeah,
you
I think
fix that?
I asked Annie because she moved over there. I was like, well, you moved there. What the
Letterman did?
Yeah. I was like, how? What is it like? She's like, it's fine. I was like, really?
Wow.
All right.
Well, that's good to hear because it was terrible when I was there. If they're able to clean that up, there's some hope for everywhere.
They probably pushed them all into Skid Row or something. The thing about Skid Row is there's so many fucking people there that you can't imagine. See if you can find a video of Skid Row
Oh, yeah.
like now.
You can do that.
The horrors. Schellenberger was talking about that place too, like the horrors that you would see there.
This is actually, I think, the same day, February 11th, 2022.
Yeah, that's how it looked when I was there in Venice.
See, this
This is
horrible.
downtown.
This is crazy. I mean, this is tense. Imagine if that's your business.
Yeah,
that
right.
place is right there.
That's what some of my friends'
That's a
businesses in San
market.
Francisco are like. That's their business, and then
Yeah.
the tents are right there in front of it.
A market. You have a market, and right in front of the market, you have basically these tent communities, and some of them are like shacks. Like they build their own shack.
Yeah, there's
Like,
not.
look at that.
It's not most people down on its luck. It's mostly drug addicts too.
Right. Exactly. And why wouldn't they? If they can just live there and then they can go whatever the fuck they want.
You
they
might
can
as well
get
smoke
cleaned up.
fentanyl if you're leaving there.
Yeah. Like, look at these things. These are like shacks. They get tarps and they set up posts. They're like wall tents. It's really wild that they've allowed this to get to this point, and how no one made a course correction. Like, no one said, hey, we got to fix this. Let's
They're,
put all
they're
our
not
resources.
even really talking about fixing it either. It seems to be like no plans of changing direction. They just keep throwing more money at it, and the money
Yeah.
makes it worse. 'Cause what do they do with the money? I think people at top steal it.
Oh, well, we found that from Colion Noir, too.
Really?
Yeah, he was explaining that he went to San Francisco and he was talking to this other guy, and he was like, what is it? Is it a budget issue? And the guy was like, no. No, there's a shitload of money being spent on it, but there's no incentive to fix it because there's all these people that are working on the homeless problem that are making 6 figures plus.
Damn.
So there's people that he was showing people that were working in LA that were making $250,000 a year working on the homeless
To
situation.
fix the homeless. Yeah.
But the homeless situation is not getting any better, right? It was just getting worse and worse. The numbers were piling up, and these people were making beaucoup dinero.
Yes.
They were living fat in a
so
hog.
it's turned into industry, like the pharmaceutical companies trying to make you healthy.
It does become an industry whenever someone can make a living doing something. Like, they have zero incentive to fix it. Because then what are they going to do? I got to find another job?
Yeah, you get paid $250
Yeah.
a year. Go
Fuck
make $100K
that.
doing something else. I'll pass.
I'd be like, slow
Yeah.
down, Jake. We don't have to
Let's
fix
keep
all
these
these
homeless
people.
Joe.
Let's go recruit some. I'd be recruiting homeless people. I'd be selling fentanyl. I'd be like, I need more people out here fucked up.
You get a raise.
I need money.
More money thrown at it.
I'm in the homeless business. Business is good.
Oh yeah, it really is turning into a big business in like San Francisco and LA and these places, and that's the problem.
I don't know how they fix it at this point. And I think the amount of time that it took from 2016 to 22, how bad it went in 6 years, how many years does it take for it to get better?
You would need like a hardliner like Rudy Giuliani there, but
Right.
San Francisco probably wouldn't put
They would
something
never.
like that in. But
They
that's
would
like
never.
the only real hope. Someone just hardline with a hardline police force, a DA. They'd have
Yep.
to all be working together.
Yep.
And then they could clean it up quick, but that's the only solution.
Yeah, and then people would get mad. You
then they-
fascists.
yeah,
and then
Nazis.
fucking Berkeley would not tolerate that.
You don't want to be robbed. They'll literally say things there like, oh, he needed it more than you.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's insane.
I've heard that. I've heard that argument. You know, if someone robbed it's because they needed it more than you. Like what?
Yeah.
What? It's because of income inequality. What?
Yeah.
What? Or maybe criminals. Those are always real.
Yeah, like-
right. I mean, if you want to get to the source of criminals, I'm all with you. You know, if you want to like clean up communities and get people happier and healthier, I'm on board. But you can't just like allow it because there's bad stuff in the past. Because
Exactly.
their childhood sucked and their communities where they grew up was crime-ridden and gang-ridden and drug-ridden. Because of that, they became who they are. I understand that 100%. But you can't just allow them to just do that over and over again because of that. You can't. That's like the opposite of compassionate. Like you're just gonna make it worse.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you need to put like lots of money in those like high crime areas for education, after school programs, stuff like that, and more funding the police, not less. Have the police come in and do boxing programs with the kids.
Yes.
We did. I did a program in San Francisco for a minute with my friend Tarek. He set it up where it was like he would get the kids to play like football and sports, and he'd bring the cops in to interact with like the kids in the bad communities. And the kids and cops, I did it with them. They'd be playing along, playing football, getting along, things like that. You're like, oh, this is what can actually help.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what needs to be done. That's perfect.
Yeah, that was one program that I volunteered for. I'm like, wow, this feels like it actually can make a difference.
It definitely can for the kids that it impacts, that it touches. It's just there's not enough of that. But if that's what if anybody wants to do, like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think more of this stuff could definitely help. Get kids when they're young on the right direction, because sometimes kids just need a little push to do something they love.
You imagine, though, that if you put people in charge of cleaning up a community, but that was a job. The job was the community has to be cleaned up, not the community's clean. So the incentive would be for them to not totally fix it, but, keep it. We're doing better. We're making progress, but never like really tighten it down, because then you'd be out of work again. It's like the same thing as a homeless czar.
Have it where you get a big bonus if you complete your job. You get $1 million bonus.
Right. That's how you'd fix it. Have them so they get a fat paycheck, like a big bonus, if they fix the homeless problem.
Like, hey, fix it. Give them $20 million.
Do you know how crazy that would be if you had you had bids? They have like when Halliburton had no bid contracts in Iraq, people were outraged, right?
Yeah.
Because here it is, you got this guy who's the vice president, Dick Cheney, and he used to be the CEO of Halliburton. Now all of a sudden Halliburton gets these no bid contracts to clean up shit that he bombed.
Yeah, unreal.
Like, what? This is crazy. But imagine if they had that same sort of a situation in Los Angeles. And they said, listen, this is our homeless problem. The homeless problem costs us a lot of money. It's a really bad problem for tourism. It's bad for crime. It's public safety, all the EMTs and ambulance and hospitals and overdoses and all this stuff. We want to clean this up. But we're going to give you a bonus. We're going to give you guys, like, if you can fix this by measurable numbers, we'll give you a huge payout. Because think about how much money it costs.
Oh, it costs so much money. I think in San Francisco they spend I don't know the exact numbers, but $60,000, $70,000 per homeless person.
I think it's more.
Yeah, and it's way more to house the person.
Yeah.
But the problem is housing isn't the problem. It's drug addiction. They're trying to act like the problem's not what the actual problem is.
Right, that's true. They try to pretend that it's a housing issue. They're the unhoused. No, they're drug addicts.
Yeah,
It's an open air drug market. They're drug addicts. So if you could fix but how would you fix it without any horrific dystopian totalitarian solution? How would you fix it without going full Mad Max?
I think you're going to have to arrest a bunch of them and be hardline, and then a lot of them would probably start leaving other places.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd probably go somewhere else. Then they go to Oakland.
Can you imagine if they allowed them to go to Oakland, but they cleaned up San Francisco?
I mean, I don't like Oakland that much, so I'd be happy. Works for me.
Could you fucking imagine if they made money doing that and then they fixed it?
That would be a lot more likely to fix it.
Yeah.
And you just give them yearly bonuses if they're hitting their metrics.
Right, exactly. And you could
large
probably
bonuses.
justify it because you could say, listen, the homeless situation costs us X amount of $1 billion a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's ask this. Let's just take a guess. How much does the homeless problem cost San Francisco every year?
It has to be hundreds of millions.
Hundreds
Hundreds of millions,
at least,
yeah, for sure,
at
hundreds
least.
of millions.
Jamie, let's look this up.
Cost in what way, though?
What's the cost of the homeless problem?
So it'll be more than what they put because also the chased away tourists, the damage is done
Right.
to place. So you won't really be able to quantify the exact cost, but just what they put in is probably a few hundred million.
Right. What is the financial consequences of the homeless problem of San Francisco? How much does homelessness cost San Francisco per year? Got anything?
It's a
weird question.
Exactly. What it
Yeah.
returns isn't going to give you what you want.
Yeah,
So,
because they won't quantify like the
But
chased away tourism and all
I know
that.
I've seen people say the homeless situation has cost San Francisco upwards of X amount of dollars per year.
That's probably just the money they throw at it, though.
Right.
So you add in the scared
Yeah.
away tourists and damaged property and theft and all that. Who knows what it is?
Yeah. So let's say it's $1 billion. If you tell a company, if you can clean this up, we'll give you $1 billion. You will make $1 billion. So we'll double it, but we'll have no problem anymore. You clean this up. You have a measurable metric. Like you get to you get you down to about 500 homeless people. That's it.
Yeah, it'd be great. And then you'd have a nice city.
Then they do it, and then you find out 3 years later, like what they actually did.
They made
They
biscuits.
disappeared.
out of it.
exactly. And then you like start.
I'll pretend like I didn't see it.
Yeah, for sure they would definitely. Like if you can get some like ruthless company to do it.
OD them all in fentanyl.
Yeah, it would be like that Soylent Green movie. They'd turn them into cookies, turn people into like snacks.
It's like, this doesn't answer it in the other way. They talk about how much money it takes to solve the problem, not how much money they've been spending fixing it.
What does it say to solve the problem? How much does it take?
This article from last year says the tab needed to solve the most persistent problem, a one-time investment of $9.3 billion, according to this new report.
But that won't solve it. What's they do? Give them homes?
That's hilarious.
If it's a yearly budget, then you start going down. Like, if you spend the whole budget, you're not going to get that much money next year because you've showed that you fixed the problem. The city will spend the money other ways.
Right.
So you go just under, so you get or whatever.
Right.
You've
Yeah.
juked the numbers. Juked
That's
the
the weird
stats.
thing.
You
with
definitely
government
would.
agencies.
Yeah, you would definitely never fix it.
No.
Especially if it's that's the thing, is if you're the government, your incentive is to never fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a private business and your incentive, this is what you do, you fix cities.
It's like this, for
you
instance,
make
says
bonuses.
safe parking sites for people that live in their vehicles.
What? Safe
Investments
parking?
into mental health.
What does that mean? Increasing safe parking sites. If you can get in it, that means a homeless person can get in it.
Oh, yeah,
How is
they-
that safe?
Yeah, they go through the parking structures and still rob everyone.
Yeah. Unless you have armed guards patrolling the parking structure. Shut the fuck up. That's not safe.
I think this is increasing. This is me making new parking lots for them to park in and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it
That's what
says
that's saying.
increasing safe parking sites for those living in vehicles and upping the investment into mental health and substantive drug abuse programs.
yeah, that
So
part
they're
could be
saying safe places for people that live in their car to park. But how many of them live in their car?
Yeah, most of them don't have cars.
These people-
they
that's-
trade their cars for drugs.
Okay, so let's say you have a small amount that live in caravans, right? Those folks that live in those mobile
Yeah.
campers. We used to have a lot of them in L.A. near our old studio.
Is that a different type of homeless? They're also addicted to drugs, or is that more
yeah,
of a?
they were
okay,
same
so
kind of
there are two.
guys.
Yeah, okay.
There was a lot of like hard partying dudes.
Okay.
And if you choose to live in a van like that, are you homeless?
That's the question. Because this guy was the guy who parked in front of ours. It was like he would be like sunbathing on our lawn, and we'd be like, "Hey man, get the fuck out of here!"
I
You
mean,
can't.
there's like a whole
pay for
movement
this.
of people on YouTube and Instagram that like van life is their thing. They
Yeah.
want to reduce their shit. They want to be
Right.
able to park in different parking lots and live at Walmart or whatever. I don't know.
It's a good question, right? Because if you are that person and you travel around like Tom Green and you're with your dog and you take photos and you post it online, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Or I mean, to the extent where Elon gets shit for like, I don't have a house.
He's
I live
crazy.
in my
He's
friends'
crazy.
houses. It's like,
Richest guy in the world, and he's homeless.
He's crazy.
Right.
The difference is he could buy whatever fucking house
Yeah,
he wants.
exactly.
He doesn't want one.
Yeah, he's just nuts. He's too smart.
But you live in a Mercedes Sprinter van that's got all the
super
it's got a
nice
shower in it.
But you can't just park on the street in a residential neighborhood and like lay on people's lawns.
You can.
Yeah, you can.
Not the lawn. You can't. Yeah,
right.
When you go there, you can't.
Yeah, they
but you
should
can
make,
park on a street.
Yeah, you can park on some streets, but some streets don't allow overnight parking. So a lot of times they go to like 24-hour grocery stores and they park in those parking lots. You see them there sometimes, and sometimes they kick them out of those places. It's a weird life. You know?
Yeah.
Are they homeless?
They're not homeless. If you got a nice Sprinter van, you're not homeless. You just live in a van. You're
Yeah, it's
homeless
kind
if
of-
you
kind
got
of
a
home.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you live in a tent, you're homeless. But that's your home, the tent.
And if I would
Actually, I have,
take
like,
my
4
van to
tents.
the nicest weather in the country, which is L.A. and San Francisco, and
Definitely L.A. San Francisco gets cold, son.
Yeah. So
You
people,
need to
San Francisco is not
switch it
like
up.
regular California.
get bored in L.A.
Yeah, that's true. You want to
switch
mix it up.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. So like, are how many more are adding to that, or are they? And then like, if your van breaks down, next thing you know, you are homeless.
Then you're homeless. Then you have a tent. But if your van breaks down, you're still inside of it. So it's still better than a tent. It's hard-sided.
If they towed it while you were gone at work the one day,
Then you
and
lost
now
it.
you're
Now
fucked.
now you're homeless.
And how do they not get robbed in those places? Because everyone steals everything. How do they not get their cars broken
I'm
into?
sure they rob each other too, man. I'm sure there's like a lot of violence in those communities. If you're dealing with people who are on meth and partying, I've seen videos of them like beating the shit out of each other and doing horrible things to each other.
Yeah. I remember when San Francisco was on full lockdown in COVID, I drove through the Tenderloin and they were having like crackhead block parties. It was I wish I would have filmed it, but when you film there, the drug dealers come and yell at you.
Oh, that makes sense. Crackhead block parties and probably not even remotely worried about COVID.
Oh no, that's why I say I'm like the crackheads are surviving. I'm gonna be okay.
Where
If these-
everybody, when Chris Christie survived, I was like, geez, I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah, if that guy dies, it's embarrassing. If I do,
Well, if he died, it would be embarrassing if you did. If he didn't, if he rather didn't die. If he didn't die, it would be embarrassing if he did.
yeah,
Yeah. When big fat people got it, we're fine. I was like, this is beatable.
I think I'm gonna survive it.
Yeah. The Tenderloin was always a sketchy place, but did it get way sketchier during COVID?
Well, more what happened is, I got a little sketchier there, but just the Tenderloin area basically sprawled across the whole city. Because before, when was the last time you were in San Francisco?
It's been a few years.
Yeah. So now, like, there's this tents in, like, not every neighborhood, but, like, lots of neighborhoods. There'll be tent cities everywhere, people doing crack, crazy people walking around. So, like, the whole city is turning into Tenderloin. Obviously, Tenderloin's still worse, but it's, like, sprawled
Why
out
are
everywhere.
people still living there, though?
I moved.
Do you think that people are living there just out of hope that it gets better?
I think so. You kind of, like, Stockholm Syndrome, you kind of don't realize, like, how bad it is till you leave. You kind of get stuck where you're just... you're stuck in a rut and you think, oh, this is normal. It's normal to get my car broken into every month and to worry about getting robbed and not being able to wear my watch out. And
How did you wind up going to Vegas?
just because I had a lot of friends there in the fight world, it made sense. It was an easy move. I was thinking about here or Vegas, but I didn't really know anyone here. Didn't know as much going on. I'm like, oh, Vegas, I'll be able to figure out. It'll be easier to figure out business and work.
That's true. There's a lot of fight business in Vegas.
Yeah, like,
My God, I mean,
yeah,
hell.
for doing stuff in the fight industry, it all just comes through there. And then also a lot of the cannabis industry comes through here, and I work with high rollers, do a little stuff in the cannabis industry as well.
Shout out to High Rollers.
Yeah,
I love that fucking event. I just love the idea behind it, that
Yeah.
they get barbecued.
yeah. I think I just
then
got him
grapple.
a deal on UFC Fight Pass. It
Really?
isn't finalized yet, but I'm meeting with all the execs and suits.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I brought him there at the worst time. I walk him into High Rollers. It's usually, we don't smoke as much anymore. A guy walked out with like a blower with a pound in there and just smoked out the whole room. I'm like, well,
and then you guys had a meeting?
I think I just lost this deal.
Oh,
it
no.
took a few months after that to get the meeting.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, those guys go too hard with a blower. You
Yeah, we
need
don't
an
do
air
that. We don't do
blower.
that anymore because it smoked out the whole room. You couldn't breathe when you were competing.
The highest I have ever been on a podcast was with Be Real when I did Smokebox, right? That's what he calls it. Be Real Smokebox. He's got a car, and they have a setup inside the car, and there's the cameras in there. And so we got high first,
Oh, Jesus.
like barbecued, and then you get in the car, and everyone keeps smoking, and they just keep smoking. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it happened to me once with Nick and Nate talked me to smoking right before in a hotbox car. We just got so lit. I remember they put me in. I'm in the cage, my gloves taped on, headgear taped on, looking across at Nick, and I'm like, wait, I got to fight this guy right now? I got so scared.
We're barbecued here. I'm so high I already stopped smoking. I'm just going, let me off. It's legit in terms of...
Yeah, it's crazy how much some people can smoke.
Those guys can put it down. Is Nick fighting again?
I don't know. You know, he for his last fight, obviously he wasn't in the best situation, you know, mentally and stuff. So I would like to see him fight again, but I'd like to see him do a proper camp. So
I just saw something yesterday. That's why I was going to ask. Something that said Nick Diaz plans to return.
I think he wants to, but I really hope he does a proper camp and does it right. Because
what did he do for the last one?
Not much.
Really?
I think he was just going through some tough times in his life, and you know, I don't really want to get into his personal life too much, but I think he was going through a tough time, and I don't think I would have liked to have pulled the fight and moved it back personally.
Coach, expect Nick Diaz to fight by the end of the year. Coach Cesar Gracie gives an update on his longtime protege, MMA veteran, and fan favorite Nick Diaz. So, yeah, so people were like thinking that he was kind of heavy. And that's why the fight wound up being they fought at 85, right?
I think they moved it to 85, yeah. Which Lawler's a big guy, too, so I'm sure he didn't mind.
Oh, he's probably so happy he didn't have to cut, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was his motivation. He was kind of like pushed into the fight happened so quick, and he hadn't been training at all. Then all of a sudden he's like fighting in 2 months. It was just kind of rushed. He didn't have a chance to do a camp. But, you know, because Nick's like a brother. I really hope he fights again, but he needs to make sure to properly do a camp.
The amount of love that guy gets is off the charts. When they see him, you know,
people love him.
When they introduced him during that fight too, the whole audience went crazy.
Yeah, he's an absolute legend. Like everyone loves Nick Diaz. I mean,
he's a very important part of the history of MMA, and if people don't realize what a big part he is, you need to watch him in the Strikeforce days, because when he was a Strikeforce champion, watch the Frank Shamrock fight. You know, watch Paul Daly.
Fight. Wow, that's probably the best one-round fight I've ever seen.
Amazing fight. Cyborg. Unreal. The Cyborg fight. Gomi. Yes, watch those days.
He's a true legend.
He's
that's
a
why
legend.
Everyone loves him. So some people forget like how great he was.
Oh, my God. The Paul Daly fight is an insane fight because Daly has one of the best left hands in the history of the sport. Daly was a thunderous striker.
Yeah,
he was so dangerous.
Yeah, he's tough.
Was he one of so Henderson hit you hardest?
Probably Henderson, yeah, but he landed clean. Daly didn't land anything too clean. He popped me with a jab that was like, oh wow, this guy's got some power.
He has.
I better take him down and tap him out.
Yeah, I mean he knocked out Lorenzo Larkin.
He's a savage.
Yeah, amazing power, and so Nick just went at him in that fight. You watched that fight?
Oh yeah.
Nick just swarmed him, and just the volume of strikes, like you could see, like that kind of fight is where he thrived.
When he got dropped in that fight.
Yep.
Came back up and just.
But even when he got dropped, he's like moving around on the ground, avoiding the ground and pound, gets back up, and he talks so much shit to guys.
Yeah, during the sparring, they're talking shit. It's hilarious.
That's one of the things that Frank Shamrock said about fighting him. Like, you can't believe he's talking shit to you while he's beating you up.
Yeah, it just adds humiliation to it.
Also, like frustration. Like, it's hard to like keep your head straight.
Yeah, the Gomi fight's one of my favorite fights. That one was amazing.
That was incredible when he tapped out Gomi. And he got cracked right before that too. Remember?
Yep.
And that was when Gomi was Gomi. You know?
Yeah. When he's one of the best in the world.
Oh my God, Gomi was one of those guys from Japan that was so fierce. Sakurai was another one.
I fought him.
Oh,
that one was crazy.
Damn,
that was my first big win.
Too?
Really? I went to Japan. I'd never left the country. Never been on a plane. And I flew out to Japan with Nick Diaz. That was wild.
What was the event?
Shudo.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was ranked like number 2 in the world at the time. I was completely unknown. That was like for me, that's one of the most memorable fights. Even though like most people in the U.S. didn't watch it, it was like such a cool experience.
Well, there was a stretch of time where he was the fucking man. I mean, he was a man.
Yeah, he was some of those Japanese guys were so good.
Yeah, he was very good. I mean, that was what was a really interesting time about MMA, where there was Vale Tudo Japan, right, in the 90s, and then there was Pride, there was Shudo, Deep, K1. There was a lot of shit going on over there. A
It was
lot of
massive
great.
in Japan.
Oh my God, the fucking Pride when they would have those fights at the Saitama Super Arena, and you would see like 90,000 people for an MMA event.
Yeah, that's like bigger than the one in Toronto, right? That's like crazy.
Yes, like
That's
by
unreal.
40,000 or 30,000
Jesus.
people. What was Toronto? Toronto
think
50 or
60 or
60?
something.
So 30,000 people more.
Jesus, that's insane.
30,000.
Yeah, that's just madness.
That's 2 MGMs.
And it's weird how fighting just completely dropped off in Japan.
How is that possible?
I think because they had Yakuza ties, and once that got exposed, they cut their TV deals and just died out.
That makes no sense to me. Because Japan has always been this warrior culture. I mean, Japan is responsible for judo, jiu-jitsu, karate. Like, so many origins of styles came from Japan.
Yeah, it's one of the birthplaces of
Oh
some of the
my
greatest
God.
martial arts.
I mean, Aikido, there was so much that they developed over there. For that to be, for them to be at the top, because they were bigger, it was bigger in Japan than the
Anywhere,
UFC
yeah.
was in America at the time. Because we're dealing with a time where the UFC had not had the Ultimate Fighter yet.
Yeah.
So from 2005 on, the UFC is a different thing. Because then the UFC became mainstream in America. But in the early days, when Fedor was the king, when Nogueira was the champ,
Yeah, no, when I went to Japan, I was like so thrilled. I was like, oh, I made it. I'm in Japan now. And you're having, it was like, 10, 15,000 people at it wasn't pride-sized Shudo, but it was still like big arenas. They loved it. It was like, wow, this is unreal.
they came to meet me at an event once, and they offered me a job for commentating on Pride.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you think about it, or you didn't want to backtab the UFC? Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah, that's true. That wouldn't be
Wasn't
wouldn't be a good
interested.
move.
Not interested. But it was cool. It was cool they wanted me to do it, but I wasn't
Yeah.
interested.
I'm sure in the back of your head you'd have loved to, but it would have burned bridges with the UFC.
I wasn't interested.
No.
I wasn't interested in flying all the way over there, and that's a long ass
It's a
flight to do
long
all the
flight.
time.
Yeah.
And they were having those events pretty often. You know, the interesting thing about Pride too is they were having events where you wouldn't even know who was fighting until like a week or 2 weeks before. Mm-hmm. And then they had all these fights were announced. You're like, whoa, he's on the card too, and
Just wild cards.
they had some
So many
insane
great
fights.
events.
To this day, I'll go rewatch like Fedor versus Nogueira, or Fedor versus Crow Cop.
Yeah. Was it Shogun and Little Fedor? Or
Oh,
little,
my God.
Little Nogueira?
Yeah, Shogun and Little Nog. Oh
Yeah,
my
that,
god.
That was a war.
Oh my god. How about Rampage versus Ricardo Arona?
That was
the
another-
craziest
yeah.
slam in the history of the sport.
Off the triangle, right? Just picked him up and
Yes.
just dipped him.
That was when Rampage was Rampage. You know, when Rampage was in his prime.
Yeah, Pride was great. Like Pride and UFC were like equal. It was like which one's better was the debate.
I think it's the worst knockout I've ever seen in my life. If you think about bad knockouts, you think about like head kicks and you think about like punches. But I think the worst knockout I ever saw was Rampage slams Ricardo Arona.
Yeah. Did Arona ever really recover from that in his career?
No.
I think that might have been kind of here it is.
Watch this.
Oh.
I mean, that is straight insanity. Let me see that again. Look how he picks him
Like
up.
how strong,
Like
how
he's
much strength that is.
in the triangle, but he slams him and then headbutts him inadvertently on the way down, and then punches him in the face a couple of times. But it's the slam itself, the amount of fucking torque. Watch this, bam! I mean, dude,
Damn.
that has to be so bad for you.
Yeah, I don't know if he really did much in his career after that.
No, watch this again. Bang! I mean, that's
yeah.
crazy to watch. I mean, how is he not dead?
Yeah, unfortunately, I never got to fight in Pride.
I mean, that might be. I think that's the worst knockout I've ever seen. Oh my god! I mean that, and then the head collides with him too on the way down.
I wonder how long he was out for.
Oh my god! Probably a year. I mean,
Yeah, right.
that's
Yeah, you
crazy.
wouldn't want to spar after that.
You probably would never be the same again. I mean, that's a kind of car accident type of KO where it's so much force when you're up in the air and then completely
Just dipped.
slammed down.
At least it was on a ring instead of like, imagine if that was the concrete. You'd probably be dead.
God,
You'd be dead if that was
He'd
the concrete.
be dead. He'd be dead. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's why you
Can
don't do
you
a
imagine?
triangle in a street fight.
Yeah, Jesus
Or let go if
Christ.
they stand up.
Or you don't fuck with a judo guy in a street fight. You know? Somebody knows judo really well, like if Ronda Rousey
Just get
spiked
tossed.
you on your fucking
yeah, that
head.
would not be good on the concrete.
When you street fight with clothes too, like a winter jacket. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not a gi guy. I would hate that.
That would probably be the worst thing that could ever happen to you. Is someone with a judo background grabs you and you have a winter coat. Oh,
Just chuck you.
they hit you with the earth.
Oh.
Bam. And then pick you up and do it again. Bam.
Yeah, it would not be good.
Yeah. Fuck. When you think about the other things about Pride that made it insane was the soccer kicks and the stomps. You know?
Those are fun from a fan's perspective.
Remember when Melvin Manhoof fought Sakuraba?
I'm trying to remember that one. Did he kick him in the face?
It was horrific. One of the worst, most ruthless. I want to say. That's not. He didn't win that. He won one fight where someone almost had him out like that, but I don't think it was Manhoof. I think Manhoof. This is also Manhoof.
This guy
when
was
he was
vicious
in his prime.
strikers. Absolutely
Oh my
vicious.
god. Because this is probably like, I want to say this is like 2004, 2005. He beats the shit out of him and then knees him in the head and soccer kicks him. And this is also Sakuraba. Boom. Ground and
This
pound.
is like after he fought
Everybody.
Vanderson Silva. They made him 3 times, right?
Yeah, Vanderlei KO'd him real bad. Vanderlei had KO'd him real bad.
And then Pride made him keep
Yeah,
fighting
there it
him.
is.
That's kind of
that
was
was it.
kind of the end of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, why did they make him keep fighting Vanderlei? That was when Vanderlei was the axe murderer.
I think they wanted him to win it so bad they kept like, oh, try again. Or he pissed somebody off.
Melvin was just such a ruthless striker, and he was kill or be killed. Melvin was such a good striker. Look at that head kick and then hit him with a punch afterwards. Melvin was so good, too.
Dang.
And
Yeah.
Melvin was so good that he knocked out Mark Hunt with one punch.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that K1 or was that a Pride?
I think it was a Pride. Pride. But
Wow.
Melvin weighed like 190.
Yeah, and
Mark
Mark
Hunt
Hunt
weighs like 260.
And yeah,
And Mark Hunt came charging at him. And Mark Hunt is a K1 Grand Prix champion. And he KO'd him with one shot, which is just nuts.
Yeah, he's not an easy guy
Watch
to
this.
KO.
Boom.
Ooh, shoot that again?
Look at this. He comes charging at him. Boom.
Ooh, a hook.
I mean, just clipped him. Who the fuck does that to Mark Hunt? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, he's one of the most devastating strikers.
Ever. The fact that he got clipped right here. Watch this. Oh, there it goes. No worries. Here, it's right here. Boom. A left hook coming in and a right hand
Jesus.
behind it.
And he was
1,
already
2,
done
and he
with
was
the
out
left hook.
right there. Like his body just
Jesus,
shuts
look at the
off.
power
Look
in
at that.
hook.
The only person other than that who stopped, well, didn't Verdum stop Mark Hunt? Stop Mark Hunt with a flying knee?
I think so.
Yes. And
So many-
Alistair KO'd him with a vicious knee.
Alistair was a beast too, especially
my
in
God.
Pride. Oh man.
Back when he was on all the saucy
When he
sauce.
ate horse meat.
I think he's back. I think he's back at K1 or no, at excuse me, Glory.
Oh hell yeah, let's get him giant
Yeah.
again. Let's get 300-pound Alistair back.
He looks big again.
Yeah, that guy was vicious.
They have a photo of him with a mohawk now. He's got like saucy face,
Yeah.
saucy neck. He looks giant.
Yeah, I trained jiu-jitsu with him one time out in Abu Dhabi, one of the sheiks. All of a sudden, the guy's like elbowing me, and I'm like, oh, this is fun jiu-jitsu.
He elbowed you. Look at that. He's saucy again. Let me see that picture again. Oh yeah, that's what's up.
Jesus.
Look at them biceps, son. He's back.
Was he probably 6'6"
that it?
or something too?
Is that all that there is to that video, or is there more to that video?
There's not a lot to these. These are even 2 months ago.
Bro, sauce.
And how tall is he?
He's a big fella.
Probably 6'6" or something?
He's at least 6'5". He's very big. He's tall and long. I mean, when Alistair was a light heavyweight, he was a bad motherfucker. But he was just too thin. I mean, and he was cutting weight. Give me that picture again when he's wearing that shirt. Oh, you just see it. That's good enough. Show me that again. Just that one right there. Yeah, that's pretty saucy. That's what I liked.
Yeah.
I liked Alistair when he fought Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Saucy.
And like Mark Coleman, I love these.
Yeah.
These are just jacked.
When he was Overeem. Mm-hmm. But when he won the K1 Grand Prix, too. I mean, he was jacked then. A little extra at the end? Yeah. Yeah, he looks good. He wasn't look that much bigger, honestly, than his UFC days. But he looks full.
Yeah, he gained a little weight.
It's also the problem is with guys like that when they do, air quote, supplements for so many years and then they get off of them. Like, man,
Their natural levels are probably run down.
Their natural levels are fucked, like Vitor. Remember when Vitor fought Chris Weidman and he just deflated?
He was just vicious for a minute when he was allowed to be on the TRT. He was just spinning, kicking people. Like,
Yeah.
Dude got a mohawk at like 40 years old. That's how you know you got a lot of testosterone in your body.
Yeah, he was He was buck wild in those days. TRT Vitor is one of the most exciting fighters of all time.
Yeah, he was vicious.
Yeah. Well, he's on the sauce again, too. He just knocked out Evander Holyfield. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah, that was kind of sad, though, because Holyfield didn't look like he should have been fighting.
No. Well, he's 60.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, at 60, wrap it up.
And it looked like his mental state wasn't 100% clear.
Dude, that guy went to war with George Foreman, Mike Tyson, Riddick Bowe. I mean,
yeah, total legend fighting all those guys.
Bro, he went to war.
Yeah, that's what's sad. Seeing him have to go back and fight at 60. I don't know if it's a money thing or probably a money thing, right?
Well, I'm sure it helps that there's a lot of money, but I think they love it too. You know, like
it's hard walking away.
Yeah.
You know, as a fighter, I know how hard it is to walk away. Sometimes you're like, oh, I could do this again. But I'm like, you know what? My life's good. I don't need to.
Well, you could do a lot of other stuff, you know, and also you're a pretty analytical guy. You'll look at things in terms of like what you should and shouldn't do with your life and your future, what's good for your future.
Yeah.
Some guys just go, fuck it.
It's hard, you know, especially knowing much else going on, or maybe you go and blew all your money, weren't smart with it, and you need money again, you love fighting. It's like, might as well do it.
What would you do ideally? Like if there was an ideal gig for you to do, what would you do other than fighting?
Like now or before?
Yeah, like right now.
I don't know. You know, I'm kind of, I'm doing a lot of things I like, you know.
You're doing a lot of things you like. Think about like fighters that don't fight anymore is they still train a lot.
Yeah, I still train almost every day.
Yeah.
So.
Like that takes up a lot of time. Like
yeah,
anything you know, wanted to do some, like we were talking about how, you know, it's hard to train really hard and then do a podcast because your brain is like still like, oh.
Yeah.
Like I've made that mistake before where I've come here after like real hard workout sessions, especially after rolling.
A lot of times a hard jiu-jitsu session, you know, if you train with someone like Gordon Ryan, I'm like, I need a nap after.
Yeah, you get fucking exhausted.
Have you had a chance to train with Gordon at all?
No, I haven't.
He's amazing, great teacher too. I mean, obviously.
He's a really good teacher. His videos are fucking sensational.
Mm-hmm.
But how crazy is that? A guy who's 25 years old who's like
best in the world.
Best in the world and the best of all time.
Yeah, I would
like
say
no
probably
gi
call him
grapplers?
the best of all time at this point.
It's hard to say he's not.
Yeah, and that's a very like bold statement to say, but I think, you know, he's got to be.
He really is. I mean, but what a combination too. Like him and Danaher together, and Gary Tonin and all those guys. But the fact that Danaher being like what he calls his cheat code. You know, like what are the odds that like a guy who's a freak athlete, is a big giant fuck, who is super smart and super driven, meets the master splinter.
Yeah. Worked out perfect.
Yeah.
I think Gary Tonin coached him for a while too, so we already had him good. I remember I met Gordon. He was like a purple belt, but he was like he was vicious. I'm like, oh man, this kid's gonna get good. Came back like a year later, and like, damn, this kid's good.
Isn't it funny though that something like that requires like so much dedication? Those guys train 365 days a year.
7 days a week. Remember when I was living in New York, they would train Saturday and Sunday.
You have to be fully locked in to do that. You have to be fully locked in terms of like your discipline, your goals, your future. That shows you like if you want to be. A lot of people say, "Oh, you need rest. Oh, you need this. Oh, you need that." Maybe, maybe you do, or maybe you need to be so fucking dedicated that is all of your life, that you're doing it 7 days a week.
Yeah, no, I agree. You got to be training all the time. I think overtraining's real, but it's way over exaggerated. Way more people undertrain than overtrain. You know, it's always the guys that aren't winning huge fights being like, oh, I don't want to overtrain. Most of the champions you watch them, they're grinding their ass off.
I think what overtraining is you never develop the kind of cardio required to train at that level every day.
Yeah. I think you do need lighter days too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, not all the when I trained with John's, not all the sessions were hard. Sometimes he would like recommend like, hey, you guys can pick guys that aren't as good and just like play around and try new stuff. And that was actually very eye-opening for me because I always wanted to go with the best possible guy I could every round. And then I realized sometimes they just go and just kind of play around, let guys pass their guard, put them in arm bars, try things. And I'm like, oh, this is a very innovative method of training, different than I've been doing it.
Yeah, I think training with people that are fairly new definitely has benefits. And one of the things, it's not good to do all the time, but one of the benefits is that you get to run many numbers on them. Like, so say if you want to like tighten up an arm bar, you can hit an arm bar anytime you want. If you're rolling with a blue belt, and you can let him think that he's, you know, swept you.
Exactly.
And let him attempt to pass your guard and set up an arm bar. Like get him thinking that he's really doing it. You know, and you could allow them to get to like, you know, in a 5-step process, you allow them to get to step 3 and then work your way out of it and then try to tap them.
Yeah, and that's what I watched Gary and Gordon. They would always let these guys come in and do really well with them. That they weren't, but they were letting them. These guys afterwards would be like, "Oh man, it's just so good with with Gordon." And I had tapped the dude like 8 times. So I'm like thinking, Gordon didn't tap you, huh?
Well, it's a thing where they're also exercising their brain, because you're controlling your ego and you're controlling this desire that you have to shut everything down and show this person they can't do anything to you.
Yeah.
You're allowing them to have a certain amount of success, and even maybe they could be delusional a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think that's really hard for athletes to do that. That's why I try to get my guys to some days like, hey, don't worry about it. Let guys put you in bad positions, but it's hard because we're so competitive. And we just want to grind and always win everything.
Marcelo Garcia said that too. He said, though, to get better, it's very important that you open up your game in the school. Like at the academy, you have to open up your game. And he was talking about that, like, got to be loose.
Yeah, I mean, after Gordon, he's probably like the second greatest of all time.
Yeah, right? Right? Man, when that guy burst on the scene, I was there in 2003 when he won Abu Dhabi, and watching him choke out Shaolin, I was like, holy shit, man.
That one was in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, his fucking back taking, his arm drag to back taking was off the charts. And one of the things about Marcelo that was so fascinating was not just that he was so technical. He was so fast, but also that his legs.
Huge.
Huge
Everyone always thought he
legs.
was way smaller than he was because he was heavy because it's all in his legs and ass.
Yes, which is wild because that was an important part of his grappling game. It wasn't like the arms were just to get around your neck.
Because he would bounce up so quick. It's almost like he would
Yes.
just bounce off his ass and take your back.
I mean, kind of wild. But I mean, I think that's just how he was built, right? It's not like...
It's got to be mostly genetic, I think, the way he's built, yeah.
It doesn't seem like he did a lot of lifting weights with his legs, did he?
I don't think so. I think my guess would be it's probably natural.
Because if you look at his upper body, he was never like a big, giant, muscular guy.
Not like a Pablo Popovich.
No, that guy was the freakiest.
Holy crap.
And
that
him
guy
and
was jacked.
him and Pablo used to go to war all the time, remember?
They were like in the finals of 3 Abu Dhabis, I think.
Yep. Yeah, that guy was like a fucking, he was Aquaman, like the comic book. He was Superman.
Yeah, that guy was just unreal looking.
Shredded.
But
Another guy's like that is Rodolfo Vieira.
oh yeah.
That guy's ridiculous. Like whenever he fights in the UFC, first of all, I'm like, how the fuck are you 185 pounds?
Yeah.
You're so not 185 pounds.
Yeah, right. Some of these guys suck out so much weight.
He's so big. That guy's so jacked. And he's such a fucking specimen. You see him at 185, he's got giant delts, fucking traps. And you're like, wow, you're
Yeah,
so
it's just,
big.
I don't know how some
Like, look at
people
him.
can-
Look at him there.
Holy crap.
Dude, what the fuck? I mean, Vieira is so big. But when he fought Anthony Hernandez, it's interesting because I think cutting the amount of weight that guy cuts really fucks your endurance.
because that guy went and he ended up tapping him too, right?
He did. He caught him in a guillotine. But Hernandez in his last fight showed insane cardio. Like, that dude's got wild cardio.
Yeah, that guy's tough. I trained with him. He stopped by a gym one time. I had no idea who he was and trained with him. Like, oh, this guy's pretty tough. And then I talked
He's
to him after.
tough.
He's like, oh, yeah, I'm in the UFC.
Yeah, he's tough, and what I'm really impressed with him is everything. But it's his endurance, man. The fucking dude breaks people.
Yeah.
Like, his endurance is exceptional, and that's how he got Vieira. He just kept putting it on him, and then when he got him in a fucking arm-in guillotine, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, right.
There's no way. And then he taps. You're like, what?
Yeah, kind of like Jacare getting armbarred. It's just crazy seeing some of
Worse.
these jiu-jitsu legends getting tapped out.
But worse, that's another guy, Andre Muniz. He's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I don't
That
know much
guy's
about him,
good,
but he's done that armbar a couple times, right?
Dude, he's fucking good. He is good.
Yeah.
His jiu-jitsu is nasty. And when he broke Jacare's arm, I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah, right? It's like unreal seeing that.
Yeah, right? It was unreal seeing Jacare lose to somebody by submission. That's insane.
Yeah. Someone like him, though, maybe they focus too much on boxing. I bet his jiu-jitsu is nowhere near what it was when he was winning Abu Dhabi.
It has to be, right?
You would think, but who knows?
But Jacare had fucking striking skills, too. Remember when he knocked out Yushin Okami? You're like, holy shit, Jacare has become a deadly stand-up fighter, too. As good as he was on the ground, now he's fucking terrifying standing as well.
Yeah, scary dude. A lot of good fighters now. The 70-pound division is stacked right now.
What did
See,
you think
my
of that
boy-
Hamzat Chimaev Gilbert Burns fight?
That was amazing. I don't know. It was like a draw. It was a 50-50. I wouldn't have wanted to be judging it. That was such a war, though.
Such a war. Yeah, I mean, real close to. I'd have to go back and watch it and score it. I went and watched it again The other night, I was working out and I watched it. I was like, oh, my God. It was crazy. But Hamzat had him in trouble, too. They both had each other in trouble. And Hamzat put a lot of pressure on, but Gilbert dropped him and had him badly hurt. And Gilbert hit him with more shots, too. When they looked at the overall significant strikes, Gilbert landed more. What a fight, though.
Yeah, that was such a fight. I couldn't believe everyone's looking past Gilbert Burns. I'm like, this guy is good.
Crazy.
He was like 4-1 or 5-1 underdog or something crazy like that.
We're going to find
this guy's
out.
Stacked.
But that's how special Hamzat is.
Oh, yeah. It showed he's the real deal.
Yeah. But the fact that people were looking past Gilbert Burns shows how good Chimaev is, or how much people thought of him.
Yeah. I think he's great because Gilbert Burns is really good and he beat him. That's such a tough weight right now. And then
he can't fight like that, though, forever. Like that style of like seek and destroy. Like that's not – you have to be a little bit harder to hit for the elite of the division. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I think he was just so used to steamrolling people that this is kind of a wake-up call. But it showed he had heart and stuff. Because my question was, does he have heart and cardio? And he showed he has both.
100%. He's a live dog. I mean, he's a real dog. The way he fights, you know, when he got clipped and dropped and immediately dives on the legs, like he's not looking for a way out.
No, he had fight in him. He was there ready to go to war. And that's what you don't know until you're in a tough fight.
Yeah. What do you think about him and Covington? I think that's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah, that's a good fight. So that's a tough one. Maybe Kazmat, but it could go either way. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows who's going to win that fight? Who knows?
Yeah, and what are they going to do with Bilal Muhammad, I wonder? Because he just had that win.
Amazing.
He's super good, too.
Amazing. Beat Vicente Luque. And not only did Bilal Muhammad beat Vicente Luque, but he beat Vicente Luque during Ramadan. So he's fasting.
Oh, he was fasting?
Yes.
Yeah, Bilal's like a friend of mine. Not really close, but I'm like cool with him. So I didn't even know he's fast. Crazy.
Yeah, man.
Fasting.
Yeah, he's observing Ramadan.
Yeah, because most of my friends let him do it, but they don't fight during Ramadan.
Super impressive.
Wow, what a lunatic.
I wonder how he does that, how he schedules the training and even the water consumption during the fight.
The water is the hard part.
Right.
Yeah. I think a lot of these guys, what they'll do, they'll train like
at night,
or they'll do a light one like right before they eat, but they're not too heavy because they're dehydrated. Then they'll go right when it gets dark, eat, and then they'll digest a couple hours, then go do like a hard one.
That makes sense.
Or just one hard one. Some guys are saying they train at like midnight, train to like 2 or 3, go and sleep as long as you can during the day, so less time to fast.
That makes sense. The thing about the water, not being able to drink any water while it's light out, that's the hardest on a professional athlete.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. So my trainer was Afghan, Muslim, Tariq Azim. We'd spar sometimes, and he couldn't drink water after. I was just like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we would train like late in the day, or at least if he was going to spar me, that way he could drink after or not too long after.
Well, I think they were very clever about that with certain fighters where if they're observing Ramadan, they don't give them big fights during April.
Yeah, most of those guys, they know not to book.
Yeah, but I mean, for Bilal, like, kudos to him for accepting a giant fight against a guy who knocked him out in the first encounter to a rematch. So he's trying to get it back. And then also it's like a very high-stakes fight because he's at the top of the food chain right now. He beats Wonder Boy, and then he beats Vicente Luque. I mean, those are two gigantic wins.
He beat Maya, too.
That's right.
Before that. So he's on a huge streak right now.
Huge streak. And I think he's like 10-1 in his last 11 fights. I think it's that high.
Yeah.
And then he has that one great matchup with who the fuck did he? Oh, Leon Edwards. That's right. Leon Edwards poked him in the eye.
Oh, yeah, that was a no contest, right?
That's right.
So imagine Leon Edwards has to be next for title fight, I would think.
I believe he
right?
is.
He has to be.
Yeah, I think he is. That's a great fight.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
That was how great was that Nate Diaz fight?
So good.
When Nate cracked him in the last round and pointed at him, like, oh, my God.
I think he didn't realize how hurt he was. I think he thought he was faking it a little bit.
Really?
And then he realized it, and there was like, he semi-recovered. But that was like, oh, you would have had him if you'd have came right at him.
He might have.
Can you imagine how crazy that been if Nate would have knocked him out?
When he cracked him and rocked him, I remember thinking, oh, my God.
Yeah, that kid's a superstar now.
Yeah.
Like when you go out with him, he just gets swarmed. I mean, it's like, well,
Does he?
you know what that's like.
Yeah.
But it's just like, holy shit, this is like overwhelming.
Is he going to fight again?
Yeah, he wants to.
He
He's
wants
trying to work out a deal with the UFC.
Is he trying to do one more?
I think he wants to do a bunch more. He loves it.
Really?
He wants to keep fighting.
Oh, I thought he said one more fight.
He has one more fight on his UFC contract.
UFC
So he's saying, fight me so I can be a free agent or pay me a shitload of money.
Well, he did say, I want to be on that Bellator Hawaii card. He said that.
He's a smart kid. He knows he's worth a shitload of money.
Well, I hope he gets paid. Are they trying to do Conor and him? Because that's the fight to make.
That would be a big fight.
That's the fight to make, right?
Yeah.
Conor lost to Dustin, has a broken leg, takes all this time off, Nate lost to Leon, but it was exciting as fuck in that last round, so the luster's still there.
That fight would be massive.
That would be a massive fight to make
and
right
you know
now.
they could cut the winner in line for a title probably.
100%. If Nate wins, could you imagine if Nate beats Conor and starts talking shit?
Oh yeah, Nate's just so good at getting his name out there. People don't understand how like smart these kids are sometimes.
Well, that would be the big one for him. If he could put that together, holy fuck.
Yeah, that would be a good fight.
That's exciting too. Even if they're not like in line for a title, even if it doesn't make sense. Like if people say, "Oh, they shouldn't be in line for a title," so what?
They're the biggest draws. That's the thing.
Just like they were talking about like if Conor comes back. Conor fighting the winner of Oliveira versus Gaethje, and everybody's like, "Fuck that!" And Islam Makhachev was saying, "No, that's my spot." And I'm like, "Yeah, but
it sells. I mean, it's not really. It's definitely not fair.
It's not fair.
But you could see why Dana would do that because that's the crazy sells.
If he came back and said, "I want to fight Oliveira," and Oliveira or Gaethje, if Gaethje beats him, it depends on who wins.
Yeah,
he might. If Gaethje. Who fucking knows, man?
Yeah, those are both interesting matchups because,
What do you think about him calling out Kamaru Usman, though?
I mean, he's jacked. He stands a shot. I would pick Usman, but I mean, Conor can potentially knock anyone out in the first 2 or 3 minutes. He's just so explosive, so accurate.
Never know. But the thing with Usman is he doesn't get tired.
Oh yeah, I would definitely favor Usman on that.
He's so big too. He's such a big 70.
Yeah, he's
a guy like Conor started his career at 45 and then goes to 55. I'm sure he feels great at 70, but
the natural frame,
yeah, it's different, man. How much different do you think the sport would be if there was no weight cutting?
It would be great because sometimes you gas out from weight cutting, but it's like the most unfortunate part of fighting because you have to.
It'd be better for their brains,
it'd be
too.
so much better.
For everything. For your ability to take a shot. It'd be better for your endurance, better for your health, better for your organs.
If we could find a way to get rid of it, it would be amazing, but we haven't been able to so far.
It seems so crazy. They should just make it illegal.
Yeah, but how? How do you
Same way you make
it?
steroids illegal. You bring in USADA. You bring in the water people. And they make sure that you have water in your body.
Kind of like ONE FC is doing.
I don't know how ONE FC is doing it, but something along those lines. Some sort of a hydration test.
I hear people have ways to cheat that too.
Do they though?
That's what I hear. Not to the same extent. Maybe like 10 pounds versus 20, which that's probably a lot healthier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If they do have, there's got to be a way to find out what a person optimally weighs. Like get in shape and find out what you ought. If the UFC had a deal, and they said, champions, we're not going to strip your title, but we want to find out what is your actual best walk-around fight weight. And a lot of guys are going to lie, right? They're going to say, 185. Weight. And you can put them on a scale. You're 215!
Yeah.
The fuck are you? Do you fight 170? You're 215. There's a few of those guys. Like Rodolfo Vieira. If you put him on a scale, he's not 185 pounds.
He's 220 probably.
220.
Yeah,
he's jacked. He's so big. When I stand next to him, I'm like, how am I heavier than you? That makes zero sense.
There's 55 pounders to get over 200.
They do.
Some of these guys are just massive.
Well, did you see Aljamain? Aljamain posted a picture of his scale. He was 176.
Holy shit. He's almost my size.
176, he's the 135-pound champ. That's 40 pounds.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's crazy. But if there's a way to say, like, to a guy like, Adesanya, I guarantee you, does not get much heavier than 85. I mean, if he gets 200, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, because didn't he weigh in like super light? Like, I think under when he fought 205s.
Yeah, I believe when he fought 205, he was under 200, or in the neighborhood. He was definitely under 205. But the point is, like, he's not a guy who cuts a lot of weight. He's just a guy that's technical and accurate and so good. So he would be an exception because he's not a guy who starves himself to make the weight. But if you found out what he weighed and you say, Israel, what is your best optimal walk-around fight weight? And he said it's 195. And they go, okay, you're the champ at 195 now. No more weight cutting. Great. And you could do that to a bunch of different guys.
Yeah, but you probably have more weights.
You'd have more weights.
Because there's those 15-pound gaps, so you kind of get stuck in the middle.
But if you had 10 pounds, you could get people in the range of 10 pounds. If you gave them like 6 months. If you said, okay, your walk-around weight is 180, but we need you to get to 175. Can you get to 175 and you could fight for the title?
Yeah.
And have like a title every 10 pounds. So you allow people to cut a little bit of weight, but radical 30-pound weight cuts. None of that crazy shit where you're shuffling to the scale. Do you ever Travis Lutter, when he fought Anderson, he didn't make the weight. I'll never forget what he looked like. He couldn't lift his legs up, man. He was shuffling as he was walking. His lips were like cracked and just dried out and bleeding. I was like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah, and it was brutal. Like sometimes the weight cut's worse than the fight. You know, if it's a bad weight cuts, and then sometimes with your training partners, you're trying to get the weight off, and you're like, oh man, this is not fun. This is not healthy. Hopefully, I don't kill this guy in the sauna.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? It was like you really are getting close to death.
Mm-hmm. You push yourself close to death in some of these huge weight cuts, and it's a scary thing.
Do you think it's possible to stop it, though? Do you think it'll always be a part of the sport?
I don't think it's possible to stop it. I love what you're saying and the idea, but I think how much money and how much effort and how much rules that would be to make that happen.
I think it can be done, man. I think it's almost like saying you can't stop people from taking steroids. Well, they definitely did.
Or at least cut it back.
They definitely cut it back.
Yes, you could cut back weight cutting. I fully think you could cut it in half, but I don't think you can 100% get rid of it.
Well, cutting it in half would be pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I think that ONE FC, I think they've cut it way back.
But some guys are still getting
They're doing it a little bit, but they're not cutting those 20, 30-pound cuts. They're doing like 10.
Have you gone over there and watched an event live?
No, I would like to, but haven't.
They're doing them with full crowds now?
I think so. Things are so weird in Singapore and Asia still. Like, who knows?
Oh, that's right. Singapore was the one when they were showing on television where they got everybody locked down.
I think it's China's locked down right now.
Oh, Shanghai. That's right.
Shanghai.
Not Singapore. Shanghai.
Yeah, you've seen some of those videos. That's wild. They're beating people on the streets.
Wild.
And the people are like, they don't have food. So people are starving out. So they're starting to fight back a little bit.
I watched one from Singapore where a guy was fishing with a drone. So he is so hungry. There's a koi pond below. So he has a drone go. It dangles a bait over the water and dips it into the water. A koi grabs the bait. It hooks the koi and then lifts it up in the air and carries it to his apartment. Have you seen it?
I haven't. So
Watch
wild.
This. We'll end it with this. You need to see this because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely, 2.5 years, and they're still having lockdowns. Wild.
I don't even think there's many deaths. I think there's something like 3 deaths in all of Singapore, and they're doing this. Like,
so is it even about COVID or is it about control? Who knows, right?
Well, who knows? It's like these people that died, how old were they? What was their condition? Like, this is the COVID that we're experiencing today, the Omicron, is so much milder than what were unless they have a new strain. So check this out. Can you give me some volume on this? Look at this. This guy's got a lure. You got to click on the video itself.
That's on the drone.
Oh, it has terrible music attached to it. But look at this.
That's crazy.
He catches a koi and brings it up to his apartment with a drone. Imagine if that fish fell and it hit someone in the head and killed him.
Died by fish.
Oh, there's no one on the streets anyway, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed in the streets, right? It's like full lockdown.
Full lockdown. You have to be trapped in your house. So this clever fella or woman or non-binary person, look what they do. That's fucking genius shit.
Pretty clever. If you're hungry, that's pretty clever.
Bro, that's genius shit. All right, Jake Shields. I guess we should wrap this up. People want to buy your jiu-jitsu shirts.
Yeah,
AmericanFight.com.
Yep. So.
And Jake Shields on Instagram and Twitter.
All those fun places. No, I got the high rollers. Hopefully that'll be on Fight Pass soon. Check that out, I guess.
Oh, are you willing to do one of those? Would you get barbecued and do a match?
I've done a bunch of them.
Have you? Oh, you barbecued when you did it?
I did with the Diego one. It was just like lit.
Oh, that's right. We talked about it.
Yeah, I was just like so lit. I got like scared right before. But then I calmed down once I started doing jiu-jitsu. It was second nature. But for a second, like, oh, crap, what did I do?
A lot of people say it makes them focus more. I'm one of those people. I like it. I like rolling when I'm high.
Yeah, see, I don't do it often. So for me, I was okay once I got going, but it just took me a second.
Well, I'm glad we finally did this.
Cool, Joe. Great
Always
talking.
good to see you, brother. And we'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye, everybody.